She had 24 hours to extract one doctor. Instead, she found a princess worth a kingdom and an army closing in to take her alive. In the shattered ruins of a dying capital, sniper Kaya Vance crouched in the dust, rifle scope trained on a clinic that shouldn't exist. The heat shimmered. The silence screamed. Her orders were simple. Get in, grab the target, get out. Clean, quick, professional. But the moment she locked eyes with Dr. Alara Quinn, everything shattered. Because Alara wasn't just a doctor. She was royalty in hiding, a crown covered in blood, a future wrapped in lies. And the rebels hunting her would burn the world to claim her. Before we dive in, if you're ready for 2 hours of betrayal, bullets, and impossible choices, stay with me until the very end. Drop a like, comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels, and let's begin. The air tasted like ash and diesel fuel. Kaya Vance pressed her body flat against the rooftop gravel, feeling every sharp edge dig into her ribs. The scope of her rifle painted the world in shades of green and gray, thermal signatures blooming like ghosts in the pre-dawn darkness. 200 meters out, a convoy of rebel trucks crawled through the checkpoint. Rust-eaten metal, mismatched armor plates, a K-pattern rifles slung over shoulders like jewelry. "Overwatch, this is Sierra 1 Actual," she whispered into her throat mic. "I count 12 vehicles, mixed infantry and technicals, no armor. They're moving slow." Static crackled in her ear, then a voice. Rough, American, tired. "Copy Sierra 1. Hold position. Command wants confirmation before we move." Kaya's jaw tightened. Confirmation. That's what they always wanted. Photos, intel, proof. Meanwhile, the clock ticked down and people died in the spaces between orders. She swept her scope across the convoy again. Standard rebel formation, poorly trained, overconfident. The kind of enemy that made mistakes when they thought they owned the ground. But something felt wrong. The spacing was too deliberate, the pace too controlled. "Overwatch, they're not scavenging," she said quietly. "This is deliberate movement. They're heading somewhere specific." "Noted. Continue observation." Kaya exhaled slowly, finger resting beside the trigger guard. Not on it. Never on it unless she intended to kill. That was the rule. The line between soldier and murderer. Behind her, gravel shifted. She didn't move, didn't flinch, just listened. Footsteps, light, controlled, friendly. "Jesus, Vance, you're like a damn statue." Corporal Marcus Hayes dropped into a crouch beside her, his own rifle held low. He was younger than her by 3 years, but looked older, lines carved deep around his eyes, stubble going gray at the edges. War did that. Aged you in all the wrong ways. "Statues don't get shot," Kaya murmured, still tracking the convoy. Hayes grinned. "Fair point." He pulled out a canteen, took a sip, offered it to her. She shook her head. "You've been up here for 6 hours," he said. "At least hydrate." "I'm fine." "You say that a lot." "Because it's true a lot." Hayes sighed, capping the canteen. "Command's finally making a move. We've got new orders. Extraction mission." Kaya's eyes flicked to him for half a second, then back to the scope. "Extraction of what?" "Who?" "Civilian asset. Doctor. Name's Alara Quinn. She's been running a field clinic in the red zone, treating refugees, locals, whoever shows up. Word is the rebels are closing in on her position. Command wants her pulled out before they get her." "Why?" Hayes shrugged. "Above my pay grade. Maybe she's got intel. Maybe she's politically connected. Maybe Command just wants good press. Heroic rescue of selfless doctor. You know how it goes." Kaya knew exactly how it went. Missions wrapped in noble language. Orders disguised as mercy, and bodies left behind when the cameras stopped rolling. "Where's the clinic?" she asked. "Old municipal building, Eastern District. About 4 clicks from here. Heavily damaged, but still standing. She's been operating out of the basement." "Rebel presence?" "Heavy and getting heavier. We've got maybe a 12-hour window before they lock down the entire sector." Kaya lowered her rifle, finally turning to face Hayes fully. "And our team?" "You, me, Lieutenant Ramos, and Specialist Chen. 4-man crew. Light and fast. In and out before anyone knows we're there. 4 people to extract 1 doctor from a hostile zone with increasing enemy presence and degraded infrastructure." Hayes smiled grimly. "You forgot limited ammunition and no air support." "Right, that too." "Think of it as a challenge." Kaya stood, slinging her rifle across her back with practiced efficiency. "I think of it as suicide with extra steps. That's the spirit. What? They moved through the city like shadows, low, silent, deliberately slow. Speed drew attention. Noise drew bullets. In a place like this, survival meant becoming forgettable. Lieutenant Maria Ramos took point, her compact frame moving with the kind of confidence that came from too many close calls and not enough fear left to waste. Specialist David Chen covered the rear, his eyes scanning rooftops and windows with mechanical precision. Hayes moved center, rifle up, senses sharp. And Kaya. Kaya watched everything. The angles, the doors, the places where ambushes lived. The Eastern District looked like the world had given up on it. Buildings leaned at sickening angles, their facades sheared off by artillery. Streets were cratered, filled with rubble and debris, and things no one wanted to name. Graffiti covered the walls, slogans, warnings, prayers in languages Kaya didn't speak, but understood perfectly. We were here, we suffered, we died. 200 meters, Ramos said softly, her voice barely audible over the distant rumble of generators and gunfire. Clinic should be just ahead. Kaya scanned the street. No movement, no lights, just silence, thick and suffocating, the kind that meant people were hiding, waiting. Chen raised a fist. Everyone stopped. Kaya followed his gaze. Third-floor window, partially collapsed building. A shape. Human. Watching. Spotter? Hayes whispered. Maybe, Kaya said, or just someone trying to survive. Ramos made the call. We keep moving, eyes up, stay tight. They crossed the open street in pairs, Ramos and Chen first, then Kaya and Hayes. No shots, no shouts, just the crunch of boots on broken concrete. The clinic appeared ahead, a squat Soviet-era structure with barred windows and blast-scarred walls. A faded red cross was still visible above the entrance, half buried under layers of dust and bullet holes. Ramos signaled, stack up. They moved into formation, Ramos at the door, Chen covering, Hayes ready to breach, Kaya watching their six. Standard CQB, muscle memory. Ramos tested the door, unlocked. She glanced back at the team, her expression unreadable. Then she pushed it open. The smell hit them first. Antiseptic and blood and human fear all mixed together in a suffocating wave. Kaya's stomach tightened, but she didn't react. Couldn't afford to. Inside, the clinic was chaos wrapped in desperation. Refugees filled every available space, families huddled in corners, children crying softly, old men staring at nothing. Makeshift beds lined the walls, occupied by people in various stages of injury and illness. A few nurses moved between them, their faces hollow with exhaustion. And at the center of it all, kneeling beside a wounded boy, was Dr. Alara Quinn. She didn't look like a target worth extracting. She looked small, maybe 5'6", thin, wearing scrubs stained with too many shades of red. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and her hands moved with the kind of steady precision that came from doing the same terrible thing 1,000 times. She glanced up as they entered. Her eyes were green, sharp, intelligent, and completely unafraid. "You're late," she said calmly, pressing gauze to the boy's abdomen. "I was told you'd be here an hour ago." Ramos stepped forward. "Dr. Quinn, I'm Lieutenant Ramos. We're here to escort you to safety. We need to move. Now." Alara didn't stop working. "I'm in the middle of surgery. We don't have time." "Then make time." The room went silent. Even the crying seemed to pause. Kaya watched the exchange with cold calculation. This was already going wrong. The doctor was supposed to be cooperative, grateful. Instead, she was giving orders. Ramos tried again, her voice harder now. "Doctor, the rebels are closing in on this position. If we don't leave in the next 30 minutes, we're all dead." "Then I suggest you help me stabilize this patient so we can leave together," Alara said, threading a suture with hands that didn't shake. "Because I'm not abandoning him." Kaya stepped forward. "He's already dead." Every head turned toward her. She met Alara's gaze without hesitation. "That wound, he's lost too much blood. Even if you stabilize him now, he won't survive transport. You know that. I know that. Stop wasting time on someone you can't save and focus on the people you can." Alara's jaw tightened. "I don't abandon my patients." "You will, if you want to live." The air between them crackled with tension. For a moment, Kaya thought the doctor might actually argue, might actually choose pride over survival. But then Alara looked down at the boy, 12, maybe 13, his face pale and clammy, his breathing shallow. And something shifted in her expression. Not acceptance, Not surrender, just recognition. She tied off the suture, whispered something in his ear, then stood, wiping blood on her scrubs. "Fine," she said quietly. "But I'm bringing the others." Kaya blinked. "What others?" Alara gestured to the room. "Them? The refugees, the wounded? All of them." Mrs. Hayes laughed, a short, bitter sound. "You're joking." "Do I look like I'm joking?" Ramos stepped between them. "Doctor, our orders are to extract you, not a dozen civilians. We don't have the vehicles, the supplies, or the firepower to protect that many people." "Then get them." "It's not that simple." "It is exactly that simple." Alara's voice rose, sharp and commanding. "These people came here because they had nowhere else to go. I'm not leaving them to be slaughtered because your orders said to save one person instead of 20. Kaya felt her patience fracturing. "If we try to move this many people, we'll be spotted, tracked, killed. Everyone dies, including you." "Then we die together." Alara crossed her arms. "I'm not leaving." The standoff stretched. Kaya could feel the seconds bleeding away. Outside, the city rumbled with distant explosions. Somewhere close, a dog barked frantically, then went silent. Chen's voice crackled over the radio. "Lieutenant, we've got movement. 3 vehicles approaching from the north. Rebel markings." Ramos cursed under her breath. "How long?" 5 minutes. Maybe less." Alara's expression didn't change. "Make your choice, Lieutenant. Save everyone or save no one." Kaya stepped closer, her voice dropping to something cold and dangerous. "You don't get to make ultimatums. You're the asset. We're the extraction team. You follow orders or you stay here and die. Those are your options." Alara met her gaze without flinching. "Then I guess I'm staying." For a heartbeat, Kaya considered it. Considered walking out. Completing the mission by default. Letting the stubborn doctor face the consequences of her own pride. But then she saw it. The way Alara's hands trembled just slightly. The way her jaw was clenched too tight. The way she stood like someone who'd already made peace with dying but refused to show it. This wasn't arrogance, this was conviction. The dangerous kind. Ramos made the call. "We take them, all of them. Hayes, Chen, start organizing transport. Kaya, help me secure the perimeter." Kaya's eyes narrowed. "This is a mistake." "Noted. Move. Protect." Chaos erupted immediately. Refugees scrambled to gather belongings. Photos, blankets, children. The nurses tried to organize them into some semblance of order, but panic made people stupid. They shouted. They pushed. They wasted time. Kaya moved to the window, scanning the street through a gap in the boards. The rebel vehicles were closer now. 2 technicals with mounted machine guns and a troop transport. Maybe 15 fighters total. "Contact north," she said into her mic. 15 hostiles, heavily armed. ETA 3 minutes. Hayes appeared beside her, breathing hard. "We've got a truck out back. It's old and it barely runs, but it'll hold maybe 10 people if we pack them tight." "We got 20. I know, math's not looking good." Kaya turned to Ramos. "We need to split them. Send the wounded and children first. The rest move on foot." "That's a death sentence for anyone left behind," Alara said, suddenly beside her. Kaya didn't look at her. "Better some survive than all die." "How noble." "Noble's got nothing to do with it. This is triage. You should understand that." Alara's expression hardened. "I understand perfectly. You're deciding who's worth saving and who's expendable, just like every other soldier I've ever met." Kaya finally turned, her gaze sharp enough to cut. "You want to know the difference between you and me, Doctor? I don't pretend my choices are heroic. I know exactly what I am. You're the one playing savior while people die around you." Before Alara could respond, the first gunshot cracked through the air, then another, then a dozen more, erupting in a storm of sound and fury. "They're here!" Chen shouted from the doorway. "Engaging!" Ramos barked orders. "Hayes, get the civilians loaded. Chen, suppressing fire. Kaya, roof access. I need eyes on their position." Kaya moved without thinking, muscle memory taking over. She sprinted for the stairs, taking them 3 at a time, rifle already unslung. The roof access was a rusted ladder. She climbed it fast, ignoring the groan of metal, and emerged into the open air. The city stretched out before her, broken, burning, dying. Below, the rebels had stopped their vehicles in a loose perimeter. Fighters poured out, taking positions behind cover, firing indiscriminately toward the clinic. But they weren't rushing, weren't charging. They were waiting for something. Kaya dropped into a prone position, sighting through her scope. She found the first target, A fighter crouched behind a burned-out car, rifle raised. She adjusted for wind, distance, elevation, then exhaled and squeezed the trigger. The rifle kicked. The fighter dropped. She moved to the next target, fired. Another body fell. But for everyone she killed, 2 more appeared. This wasn't a skirmish. This was an organized assault. "Overwatch, this is Sierra 1, she said into her radio. "We are heavily engaged. Request immediate QRF support." Static. Then, "Negative, Sierra 1. No assets available. You're on your own." Of course they were. Kaya kept firing, kept counting, kept surviving. Masab. Below, Alara worked with frantic efficiency, guiding refugees toward the truck. Children first, then the elderly. The nurses helped load them, their faces pale but determined. Hayes stood at the door, rifle up, firing controlled bursts into the street. "We need to move faster." "They're terrified," Alara snapped. "They're moving as fast as they can." An explosion rocked the building, close enough to shake dust from the ceiling. Someone screamed. Alara grabbed a little girl, maybe 6 years old, frozen in fear. She knelt, meeting the child's eyes. Hey, look at me. We're going to be okay, but I need you to be brave. Can you do that?" The girl nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Good. Now run. Run to the truck and don't stop." The girl ran. Another explosion. Closer this time. Chen appeared, bleeding from a cut above his eye. "They're flanking us, east side," Ramos cursed. "Fall back to secondary positions. We hold until everyone's loaded." But the rebels weren't giving them time. Gunfire intensified, windows shattered, walls cracked. And then, through the chaos, a voice, amplified, mechanical, speaking in accented English. "Attention inside the clinic. You are surrounded. Surrender the doctor and we will let the others live. Resist and everyone dies." The room went silent. Alara froze, her face draining of color. Kaya's voice crackled over the radio. "Ramos, they're not here for refugees. They're here for her." Ramos looked at Alara. "What did you do?" Alara didn't answer. "You have 2 minutes to comply." Hayes grabbed Alara by the arm. "Start talking, right now." Alara pulled free, her voice shaking. "I can't. People are dying," Hayes roared. "Tell us what the hell is going on." The rebel's voice boomed again. 1 minute. Kaya descended from the roof, her rifle slung, her expression unreadable. She walked straight to Alara, grabbed her by the collar, and slammed her against the wall. Not hard enough to hurt, but hard enough to make a point. "Who are you?" Alara's breath came in short gasps. Her eyes searched Kaya's face, looking for something. Mercy, maybe. Understanding, she found neither. "My name," Alara whispered, "isn't Alara Quinn." Kaya's grip tightened. "Then what is it?" The answer came like a gunshot. "Arya Solon, Princess Arya Solon, heir to the Sullivan throne." The world seemed to stop. Ramos stepped back, eyes wide. Hayes cursed. Chen just stared. And Kaya didn't move, didn't blink. Just held the woman, the princess, against the wall while everything she thought she knew shattered into pieces. 30 seconds. Outside, engines revved. Boots hit the ground. The rebels were preparing to breach. Kaya released Arya slowly, her voice deadly calm. "You lied to us. I had no choice. You put all of us at risk. Every person in this building, every civilian, every soldier. For what? To play hero? To pretend you're not who you are?" Arya's voice broke. "I was trying to help. You were hiding." Kaya's eyes burned with cold fury. "And now we're all going to die for it." 10 seconds. Ramos made a decision. "Screw this. We fight. Everyone who can hold a weapon, hold one. Everyone else, stay low and pray." Hayes chambered around. "This is insane." "Yeah," Ramos said, "but it's our kind of insane." Chen moved to the window, rifle ready. "Here they come." Arya grabbed Kaya's arm. "Please, I didn't want this." Kaya pulled free. Too late. The doors exploded inward. Rebels poured in, screaming, firing, destroying, and the clinic became a battlefield. Gunfire tore through the air in deafening waves. Kaya moved on instinct, her rifle barking short, controlled bursts. 2 rebels dropped before they made it 5 feet inside. A third fell clutching his throat. Hayes fired from behind an overturned table, his face twisted in concentration. Frag out! He hurled a grenade through the doorway. The explosion rocked the room, sending bodies flying. Chen covered the east window, picking off fighters as they tried to flank. They're everywhere! Ramos coordinated the chaos. Concentrate fire on the entry points. Don't let them establish a foothold. But the rebels kept coming. For everyone they killed, 2 more appeared. This wasn't a raid. This was an execution. Arya crouched behind a row of medical crates, her hands pressed over her ears, her eyes wide with terror. Around her, refugees screamed and prayed and died. Kaya reloaded, her movements automatic. She'd been in firefights before, too many to count. But this was different. This was desperation on both sides. A rebel broke through, charging straight at her. She sidestepped, drove the butt of her rifle into his jaw, then put 2 rounds in his chest. He collapsed. Another came from the left. She spun, fired, missed. He tackled her. They hit the ground hard. He was bigger, stronger, fueled by adrenaline and hate. His hands closed around her throat. Kaya didn't panic, didn't struggle. She reached for her knife, a small blade strapped to her thigh, and drove it upward, into the soft tissue beneath his ribs. He gasped, choked, went limp. She shoved him off, gasping for air. Hayes pulled her up. You good? Yeah. Liar. Another explosion. The ceiling cracked, raining debris. Ramos shouted into her radio. Overwatch, we are being overrun. We need immediate evac or we're dead. Static. Then a voice. Calm, distant, uncaring. Negative. Extract on your own or don't extract at all. Command out. Ramos threw the radio against the wall. Bastards. Kaya checked her ammunition. 1 magazine left, maybe 30 rounds. She looked at Hayes. How much you got? 20, maybe. Chen's voice was grim. I'm down to my sidearm. They were running out of time, running out of options, running out of everything. And then the gunfire stopped. Just stopped. The silence was worse than the noise. Ramos held up a fist. Everyone froze. From outside, footsteps, slow, deliberate. A single person walking through the rubble. A voice called out, male, confident, speaking English with barely a trace of accent. You fought well, admirably even. But this ends now. Kaya moved to the window, peering through a crack. The speaker was a man in his 40s, wearing civilian clothes but carrying himself like a soldier. Behind him, dozens of rebels stood ready, weapons raised. My name is Commander Vasily Cade, the man continued, and I am here for one person. The woman you call Dr. Ilara Quinn. The woman I call Princess Arya Solon. Arya's breath hitched. Cade's voice hardened. Send her out, and the rest of you walk away. Keep her, and I burn this building to the ground with everyone inside. Ramos looked at Arya, then at Kaya. Options? Kaya's mind raced. The math was brutal. They couldn't win a straight fight. Couldn't escape with everyone. Couldn't negotiate. But maybe they didn't have to. She turned to Arya. How much are you worth to them? Arya blinked. What? Alive. How much are you worth alive versus dead? Understanding dawned in Arya's eyes. If I die, the succession falls to my cousin. He's loyal to the rebels. They need me alive to legitimize their claim to the throne. Kaya nodded slowly, an idea forming. Dangerous. Desperate. Probably suicidal. She pulled a syringe from the medical kit on the wall, filled it with a clear liquid, sedative probably, and held it up for everyone to see. Then she pressed it to Arya's neck. Commander Cade, Kaya shouted. You want the princess? Come and take her. But if you breach this building, if you fire one more shot, I put this needle in her vein and she dies. You get nothing. Silence. Then Cade laughed, a cold, calculating sound. You're bluffing. Try me. More silence. Longer this time. Kaya could feel Arya trembling beneath the needle, could see the fear in her eyes. But she didn't move, didn't lower the syringe. Finally, Cade spoke again. What do you want? Safe passage. For everyone. Vehicles, fuel, and a 6-hour head start. Impossible. Then she dies. You'd kill her to spite me? I'd kill her to complete my mission. Kaya's voice was ice. Your choice, Commander. Deal or corpse? The seconds stretched into eternity. Then, you have 1 hour. After that, the deal expires and we come in. Footsteps retreated, engines started. The rebels pulled back, but not far. just enough to watch. To wait. Kaya lowered the syringe. Arya stared at her, shaking. You would have done it. You would have killed me. Kaya didn't answer. Didn't need to. They both knew the truth. But the hour passed in frantic, silent preparation. They loaded everyone into the truck, wounded, children, elderly. It groaned under the weight, but held. Hayes hot-wired a second vehicle, a battered sedan with bullet holes in the doors. Chen rigged improvised explosives from medical supplies and fertilizer, crude but effective. And Kaya planned the route. 3 fallback positions, 2 extraction points, 1 final gamble. Arya worked alongside them, her hands steady now, her fear buried beneath purpose. She didn't speak, didn't ask questions, just helped. Ramos pulled Kaya aside. This won't work. I know. They're going to follow us, hunt us, kill us. I know. So why are we doing this? Kaya looked at the refugees, families huddled together, holding each other, hoping for a miracle they didn't deserve, but needed anyway. Because it's the job, she said quietly. Ramos smiled grimly. I hate this job. Yeah, me too. The hour ended. They moved out. The truck led, coughing black smoke, its engine screaming. The sedan followed close behind. And all around them, the city watched, silent, judging, waiting to see if hope could survive in a place where it had no right to exist. Kaya sat in the truck bed, rifle across her lap, eyes scanning every shadow. Beside her, Arya held a child, a little boy with burn scars on his face and terror in his eyes. Thank you, Arya whispered. Kaya didn't look at her. Don't thank me yet. Why not? Because we're not out yet, and when the rebels come, and they will come, you're going to see exactly what kind of person I am. Arya's grip tightened on the child. I already know. Kaya finally met her gaze. No, you don't. Oh. They made it 3 miles before the ambush hit. It came from nowhere, a hail of gunfire from rooftops and alleyways, coordinated and brutal. The truck's windshield shattered, tires exploded, the vehicle swerved wildly, crashed into a wall, and died. Out! Everyone out! Ramos screamed. People poured from the truck, stumbling, falling, running. Bullets tore through the air. Someone, a nurse maybe, fell and didn't get up. Kaya was already moving. She sighted a shooter on a rooftop, fired twice, watched him tumble. Another appeared. She dropped him too. Hayes dragged refugees into cover, a half-collapsed building, its walls pockmarked with old artillery scars. Move! Move! Get inside! Chen returned fire, his rifle chattering. We're pinned! Arya stumbled, fell, scrambled back to her feet. Blood streaked her face. Not hers, someone else's. She looked lost, broken. Kaya grabbed her arm, hauled her forward. Stay low. Keep moving. Don't stop. They're going to kill us. Not yet, they're not. They reached the building. Ramos did a quick head count. We're missing 4, 3 adults, 1 child. Kaya looked back at the kill zone. Bodies lay scattered, some moving, some not. They're gone, she said flatly. We can't just leave them. They're already dead, we're not. Ramos looked like she wanted to argue, but she didn't, couldn't. Outside, the gunfire intensified, then stopped. Cade's voice echoed through the streets, amplified by a megaphone. You had your hour. Now you die. An explosion rocked the building. Then another. Artillery. They were shelling them. Kaya's mind worked fast. They couldn't stay, couldn't run, couldn't fight. She turned to Arya. How important are you? Really? Arya's eyes widened. What? If they capture you, what happens? They legitimize their coup, consolidate power. The kingdom falls. And if you die? The succession goes to my cousin, who supports them. The kingdom still falls. Kaya nodded slowly. So either way, you lose. Yes. Then we change the game. She turned to Ramos. I need a radio, long range, and a clean signal. For what? To make a deal. Mvosant. 10 minutes later, Kaya stood in the center of the ruined street, hands raised, no weapons visible. Cade emerged from the shadows, flanked by 2 bodyguards. He smiled. Brave. Or stupid. Practical, Kaya said. You want the princess. I want my people to live. Let's negotiate. Cade laughed. You have nothing to negotiate with. I have her. And a syringe full of poison. 1 wrong move and she's dead. You're bluffing again. Kaya's expression didn't change. You sure about that? Cade studied her, searching for weakness, finding none. What do you want? He finally asked. Safe passage for the refugees and my team. You get the princess. Everyone wins. And if I just kill you now and take her, then you get a corpse and a war you can't win. Your choice. Cade's eyes narrowed. You're lying. Maybe. But are you willing to bet a kingdom on it? The silence stretched. Then Cade smiled, cold and predatory. Fine. You have a deal. Bring her out. Kaya turned, signaled to the building. Arya emerged, flanked by Hayes and Chen. She looked small, fragile, defeated. Cade stepped forward, reaching for her, and Arya collapsed, just dropped, like a puppet with cut strings. Cade froze. What? Kaya's voice was flat. Poison. Fast acting. She'll be dead in 2 minutes. Cade's face twisted in rage. You killed her. No, she killed herself. Said she'd rather die free than live in chains. Cade grabbed Kaya by the throat, slamming her against a wall. You're lying. Kaya didn't struggle, just met his eyes. Check her pulse. Cade released her, dropped to Arya's side, pressed fingers to her neck. Nothing. He looked up, his expression pure murder. You're dead. Maybe, Kaya said. But so is your leverage. Cade raised his pistol, and Arya's eyes snapped open. She drove a scalpel into his thigh, then rolled away as he screamed. Chaos erupted. Hayes and Chen opened fire. Cade's guards went down. Kaya grabbed her rifle from where she'd hidden it, sighted Cade, fired. The round took him in the shoulder. He spun, fell, clutching the wound. Fall back, Ramos screamed. Everyone move! They ran, through alleys, over rubble, into the dying city. Behind them, the rebels regrouped, shouted, gave chase. But they were slower now, disorganized, leaderless. Arya ran beside Kaya, gasping for air. That was insane. It worked, didn't it? We could have died. We're not dead yet. They reached the extraction point, a burned-out parking garage where Chen had stashed the sedan. The engine turned over on the third try. Hayes drove. Ramos rode shotgun. Kaya and Arya crammed in back with 3 refugees, and they drove. Fast, reckless, desperate. The city blurred past. Fires burned. Sirens wailed. The world crumbled. But they kept moving. They reached the safe zone just before dawn. Checkpoints, barriers, soldiers in clean uniforms who didn't look like they'd ever seen real combat. Arya was pulled away immediately. Medical teams, intelligence officers, people who didn't introduce themselves. Kaya watched her go, feeling nothing. Ramos approached. Command wants a debrief. Tell them to wait. They're not asking. I don't care. Ramos sighed. You did good, Vance, against all odds. You brought her back. Kaya looked at the city behind them, smoke rising, fires burning, people dying in the spaces no one talked about. Yeah, she said quietly. I did. But it didn't feel like victory. It felt like survival. And in a war like this, maybe that was all anyone could hope for. End of Part 1. The rebels were regrouping. Arya's identity was exposed. And somewhere in the ruins of the capital, Commander Cade was still alive, wounded, furious, and already planning his next move. Kaya Vance had completed her mission, but the war was just beginning. The debriefing room smelled like stale coffee and bureaucratic indifference. Kaya sat alone at a metal table, fluorescent lights humming overhead, casting everything in shades of institutional gray. Her rifle had been confiscated at the gate. Her sidearm, too. Standard protocol for anyone entering the secure zone, but it left her feeling naked, exposed. The door opened without warning. A man entered, late 50s, gray suit, the kind of face that had spent decades making decisions other people died for. He carried a folder, too thin to contain anything useful. Behind him, a younger woman in military fatigues, captain's bars, intelligence insignia. Sergeant Vance, the man said, not bothering with introductions. He sat across from her, opening the folder with mechanical precision. Impressive work out there. Against all odds, you brought back the asset. Kaya didn't respond. Just watched him with the same cold focus she used to sight targets. The woman remained standing, arms crossed, studying Kaya like a specimen under glass. The man continued. 4-person team, 23 civilians, hostile territory, limited ammunition, no air support. You managed to extract Princess Arya Solin alive and relatively unharmed. Command is pleased." "Command wasn't there," Kaya said quietly. "No, they weren't." He flipped a page. "Tell me about Commander Cade." "What about him?" "You engaged him directly, put a round in his shoulder, but you didn't kill him." "I was busy not dying." The woman spoke for the first time, her voice sharp and precise. "Cade is a high-value target. You had a clear shot. Why didn't you take it?" Kaya's eyes shifted to her. "Because I had 20 refugees to protect and limited ammunition. Killing one man versus keeping my people alive. Easy math." "That's not protocol," the woman said. "Protocol doesn't survive contact with reality." The man closed the folder, leaning back. "Commander Vasily Cade is now the most wanted man in 3 countries. He's wounded, angry, and very motivated. Intelligence suggests he's already regrouping his forces, and he knows exactly who embarrassed him." Kaya's jaw tightened slightly. "Meaning?" "Meaning you're on his list, along with Lieutenant Ramos, Corporal Hayes, and Specialist Chen. He'll be coming for all of you. Let him."
Get. The woman leaned forward. "This isn't bravado time, Sergeant. Cade has resources, connections. He's not some random warlord. He's ex-military intelligence, trained in Moscow, with ties to half a dozen militant groups. You humiliated him in front of his men. He won't forget that." Kaya met her gaze without blinking. "Then I'll make sure the next round goes through his head instead of his shoulder." Silence stretched between them. The man stood, smoothing his jacket. "You're being reassigned, effective immediately." "To where?" "Princess Arya's security detail. She's requested you specifically." Kaya's expression didn't change, but something cold settled in her chest. "I'm a sniper, not a bodyguard." "You're whatever command tells you to be." The man's voice hardened. "The princess trusts you. That's valuable, rare. So you'll stay close, keep her alive, and help us figure out what Cade's real objective is." "And if I refuse?" The woman smiled, thin, humorless. "Then you'll be charged with insubordination and court-martialed." "Your choice, Sergeant." Kaya stood slowly, her movements controlled. "Where is she?" "Medical wing, 3rd floor, room 304. The man paused at the door. "One more thing. The princess isn't just a political asset. She's leverage, a symbol. If she dies, this entire region collapses into chaos. So you don't get to fail. Understood?" Kaya said nothing. They left. She stood alone in this gray room, feeling the weight of something she couldn't name pressing down on her shoulders. The medical wing was too clean, too white, too far removed from the blood and dust and screaming she'd left behind. Kaya walked the sterile hallways, her boots silent on polished floors, until she reached room 304. The door was open. 2 guards stood outside, regular army, young, probably never fired a shot in anger. They straightened when they saw her. "Ma'am, she's expecting you." Kaya brushed past them without acknowledgement. Inside, Arya sat on the edge of a hospital bed wearing civilian clothes, jeans, a loose shirt, her hair down. She looked different without the blood and fear. Smaller, younger, almost fragile. But her eyes were the same, sharp, intelligent, unbroken. "You came," Arya said quietly. "Wasn't given a choice." Arya's smile was faint. "They're assigning you to my detail." "So I heard." "Are you angry?" Kaya crossed to the window, looking out at the compound below. Soldiers moving in formations, vehicles being serviced, the machinery of war grinding forward. Doesn't matter what I am. "It matters to me." Kaya turned, studying her. "Why did you request me?" Arya hesitated, searching for words. "Because you didn't treat me like a princess. You treated me like a problem to solve. And you solved it. I almost got you killed. You saved my life multiple times. I did my job." Arya stood, crossing the room until she was close enough that Kaya could see the exhaustion shadowing her eyes. "You held a syringe to my neck and threatened to kill me. Then you faked my death. Then you dragged me through a war zone. That's not just a job." Kaya's expression remained neutral. "What do you want from me, princess?" "The truth." Arya's voice dropped. "Who are you?" "Really?" "A soldier." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one you're getting." Arya stepped back, frustration flickering across her face. "You know everything about me, my name, my family, my failures. But I don't know anything about you, where you're from, What you did before this? Why you're so good at not caring when people die? Kaya's jaw tightened. You don't want to know. Yes, I do. No, you don't. Kaya's voice went cold. You want to believe I'm some tortured hero with a tragic past, that underneath the armor, I'm secretly kind, secretly broken, secretly someone you can fix. But I'm not. I'm a weapon. That's all. And the sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. Arya's eyes searched hers. I don't believe you. Believe whatever you want. Before Arya could respond, the door opened. Lieutenant Ramos entered, her face grim. We've got a situation. Kaya turned. What kind? The refugees we extracted. They're gone. Mako. The convoy had been ambushed 6 hours ago. Kaya stood in the operations center, staring at the map spread across the table. Red markers indicated the attack site, a stretch of highway 30 kilometers outside the safe zone. Black markers showed casualty estimates. Blue markers showed nothing because there was no rescue coming. Ramos pointed to the map. 2 trucks, 18 refugees, 4 military escorts. They were en route to a processing center when they got hit. Clean ambush, professional, no survivors among the escorts. The refugees, Kaya asked. Taken. All of them. Arya stood beside her, face pale. Cade. That's the assumption, Ramos said. He wants leverage, wants to draw you out. Then we go get them, Arya said immediately. Hayes, leaning against the wall, laughed bitterly. With what? We've got a skeleton crew, limited intel, and an enemy who knows exactly what we're going to do. So we do nothing? Arya's voice rose. We just leave them? We're soldiers, not martyrs, Hayes said. Going after them is suicide. Arya turned to Kaya. You can't seriously agree with this. Kaya studied the map, her mind working through scenarios. Approach vectors, escape routes, kill zones. The math was brutal. A rescue mission would require resources they didn't have, support that wouldn't come, and luck they'd already spent. It's a trap, she said finally. I know it's a trap, Arya said. But they're people. We can't abandon them. We already did. The moment we left them in those trucks. Arya recoiled like she'd been struck. How can you say that? Because it's true. Kaya met her gaze without flinching. You want me to lie? Pretend there's a heroic solution where everyone lives? There isn't. Cade has them. He's using them as bait. We go after them, we die. They die anyway. That's the reality. Then we change the reality. You can't change math. Arya stepped closer, her voice dropping to something dangerous. You talk about math, about acceptable losses, about cold calculation, but those people trusted us, followed us, and now they're in chains because we brought them into this. No, Kaya said quietly. They're in chains because you insisted on saving them. I warned you, told you what would happen. You chose pride over pragmatism. This is the consequence. The room went silent. Arya's hands trembled. You're blaming me. I'm stating facts. You're a coward. Kaya's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes, brief, almost invisible. Maybe. Ramos stepped between them. Enough, both of you. She looked at Kaya. What's your recommendation? Kaya returned to the map. We can't mount a direct rescue, but we can gather intel. Figure out where Cade's holding them, what his endgame is. Then we make a decision based on actual information instead of emotion. And how do we gather intel? Ramos asked. I go in. Hayes straightened. Alone? Alone. That's insane. It's efficient. One person. Small footprint. I scout the location, assess the situation, report back. Then we decide. Arya shook her head. You'll get yourself killed. Kaya finally looked at her. Would that bother you? Yes. Why? Arya's voice broke slightly. Because despite everything you say, despite how hard you try to convince everyone you're just a weapon, I've seen who you are, and you're better than this. Kaya turned away. You're wrong. Prove it. Kaya left at nightfall. No backup, no support. Just her rifle, a sidearm, minimal gear, and a radio that probably wouldn't work when she needed it. The city looked different in the dark, quieter, like it was holding its breath. She moved through the ruins with practiced silence, avoiding checkpoints, patrols, the places where people still tried to pretend civilization existed. Her target was a warehouse district on the eastern edge. Intelligence suggested Cade had established a temporary base there. It took her 3 hours to reach the perimeter. She found a vantage point on a collapsed building, set up her rifle, and waited. Waiting was the hardest part, the part where your mind wandered, where doubts crept in, where you started questioning every decision that led you to this moment. Kaya had gotten good at silencing those thoughts, at becoming nothing, just eyes and hands and breath. Below, the warehouse compound sprawled across 2 city blocks, fences, guards, vehicles, lights powered by generators that coughed black smoke into the night sky, and in the center a large building with barred windows. Kaya scanned it through her scope. Movement inside. Lots of it. She counted shadows, estimated numbers. 20, maybe 30 people. The refugees. She keyed her radio. Sierra 1 to Overwatch. I have eyes on target location. Confirming presence of hostages. Count approximately 25 to 30 individuals. Heavy guard presence. Estimate 40 to 50 hostiles. Fortified position. Direct assault not recommended. Static. Then Ramos's voice. Copy Sierra 1, return to base. We'll reassess. Kaya didn't move. Something felt wrong. The guards were too relaxed, too comfortable, like they weren't expecting trouble, or like they were expecting something else. She shifted her scope, scanning the perimeter again. That's when she saw him. Commander Cade. He stood near the main building, arm in a sling, talking to 2 men in tactical gear. His face was hard, focused, angry. Kaya's finger moved to the trigger. 1 shot, center mass. Problem solved. But then Cade turned, looking directly at her position. He couldn't see her. She was too far, too well hidden, but he knew. He smiled and raised a radio to his lips. Kaya's blood went cold. She rolled left just as the building beneath her exploded. The blast threw her backwards, slamming her into concrete. Her ears rang, vision blurred. She tasted blood. Gunfire erupted from below, concentrated, professional, targeting her exact position. They'd known, the whole time. This wasn't a base, it was bait, and she'd walked right into it. Kaya forced herself up, grabbing her rifle, ignoring the pain screaming through her ribs. She moved fast, sprinting across the rooftop as bullets chewed through the concrete behind her. A figure appeared ahead, rebel soldier, rifle raised. She didn't slow, just drove her shoulder into him, sending him over the edge. His scream cut off with a wet crunch. More gunfire. Closer now. She reached the edge of the roof, saw a fire escape, took it, 3 floors down, too fast, too reckless. But stopping meant dying. She hit the ground, rolled, came up running. Behind her, shouts, orders. The sound of boots on metal. Ahead, an alley. Narrow, dark, perfect. She ducked into it, pressing against the wall, forcing her breathing to slow. Her radio crackled. Sierra 1, report. We're reading explosions at your location. Kaya keyed the mic, her voice barely a whisper. Compromised. They were waiting, falling back. Do you need extraction? Negative. Too hot. I'll make my own way out. She killed the radio before Ramos could argue. Footsteps echoed in the alley. Getting closer. Kaya checked her rifle. Loaded. Ready. But firing would give away her position. She needed another option. Her hand found the knife strapped to her thigh. Small. Sharp. Silent. The first rebel rounded the corner. Kaya moved like a ghost, one hand over his mouth, the other driving the blade up beneath his ribs. He struggled for half a second, then went limp. She lowered him silently, took his ammunition, kept moving. 2 more appeared. She waited until they passed, then stepped out behind them. 2 quick strikes. 2 bodies. But the third one saw her. He raised his rifle, shouting. Kaya threw the knife. It caught him in the throat. He dropped, choking. She retrieved the blade, wiped it clean, kept moving. The alley opened into a wider street, more exposed, more dangerous. Across the way, she saw an abandoned building. Windows shattered, doors hanging open. Perfect. She sprinted for it, expecting bullets. None came. She made it inside, ducked behind a wall, waited. Silence. Too much silence. That's when she heard it. A voice. Amplified. Familiar. Cade. Sergeant Vance, I know you can hear me. I know you're close. Kaya didn't move. Didn't breathe. You're good. I'll give you that. Better than I expected. But you're not good enough. A pause. I have something of yours, or rather, someone. Would you like to hear her voice? Kaya's chest tightened. Then another voice. Young, terrified, familiar. One of the refugees, a girl, maybe 14. Please, please don't hurt me. A scream, short, agonized, then silence. Cade's voice returned. That was just a taste. I have 19 more. And I'll kill them, one by one, every hour, until you surrender. Kaya's hands curled into fists. Come out, Sergeant. Face me, or their blood is on your hands. She could feel it, the rage, the helplessness, the impossible choice, and beneath it all, a memory, old, buried, clawing its way to the surface. A different war, a different city, a different hostage. She'd made the calculation then, too. Walked away. Let them die. And she'd never forgiven herself. Kaya stood slowly, stepping out of cover. Cade waited in the center of the street, surrounded by his men, at least 20 of them, all armed, all ready. He smiled when he saw her. There you are? Kaya stopped 10 feet away, hands visible, rifle slung. Let them go. No. Then what do you want? Justice. You cost me men. Resources. Credibility. You embarrassed me in front of my army. That has a price. Name it. Cade's smile widened. You. On your knees. Begging. The rebels laughed. Kaya didn't move. Didn't react. Just calculated. 20 men. One exit. No backup. Limited ammunition. The math said she was already dead. But math didn't account for everything. She dropped to her knees. The laughter intensified. Cade stepped closer. Beg. Kaya looked up at him, her voice calm. Please, let them go. Take me instead. Louder. Please. Cade leaned down, his face inches from hers. You think you're a hero? You're nothing. Just another soldier who... Kaya moved. Her hand shot out, grabbing the pistol from his holster, firing 3 times point blank into the rebels closest to her. She rolled left, came up shooting, dropped 2 more. Chaos erupted. Cade stumbled back, cursing. His men opened fire, but they were panicked, disorganized, hitting each other as much as her. Kaya moved through them like a blade. Fast, precise, lethal. Every shot counted, every movement deliberate. She killed 6 before her pistol clicked empty. Then she grabbed a rifle from a corpse and kept going. But there were too many. A round caught her in the shoulder, burning, tearing. She spun, fired back, killed the shooter. Another round grazed her ribs. She dropped to one knee, vision blurring. Cade stood over her, his own pistol raised. You should have stayed down. Kaya looked up at him, blood dripping from her lip. Probably. He aimed for her head, a gunshot cracked, but it wasn't his. Cade staggered, a red bloom spreading across his chest. He looked down, confused, then collapsed. Kaya turned. Arya stood at the end of the street, rifle raised, her hand shaking but her stance solid. Behind her, Ramos, Hayes, and Chen emerged from cover, weapons up, engaging the remaining rebels. The firefight lasted 30 seconds. Then silence. Arya ran to Kaya, dropping beside her. You're hit. I'm fine. You're bleeding. I said I'm fine. Ramos appeared, pressing gauze to Kaya's shoulder. You're an idiot. Heard that before. Hayes checked Cade's body. He's still breathing, barely. Good, Kaya said. We need him alive. Chen approached. Hostages are secure. Buildings clear. Kaya tried to stand. Failed. Arya caught her. Easy, Arya said quietly. Kaya met her eyes. You came. Of course I came. You think I'd let you die alone? I told you to stay safe. And I told you I don't take orders. Despite everything, the pain, the exhaustion, the blood, Kaya almost smiled. Why did you kneel? Arya asked softly. Kaya looked away. Because sometimes pride is a luxury you can't afford. That's not what I asked. It's the only answer you're getting. They extracted the hostages at dawn. 19 survivors. 1 had died during Cade's torture. The girl. The one he'd made scream. Kaya stood over her body for a long time, saying nothing. Arya found her there. It's not your fault, isn't it? You did everything you could. Not enough. Arya placed a hand on her shoulder. You can't save everyone. I know, Kaya's voice was hollow, but I should have saved her. They stood in silence as the sun rose, painting the ruins in shades of gold and ash.
Behind them, the convoy loaded. Refugees, wounded, the living moving forward while the dead stayed behind. Ramos approached. "Command wants us back, now." Kaya nodded, turning away from the body. Arya caught her arm. "What happened back there? When you knelt?" "I saw something in your eyes. Something old." Kaya pulled free gently. "It doesn't matter." "It does to me." "Why?" "Because I need to understand who I'm trusting my life to." Kaya studied her. This princess who'd walked into a war zone to save a soldier she barely knew. This woman who refused to accept easy answers. "I was like you once," Kaya said quietly. "Believed I could save everyone. That conviction mattered more than calculation. That being right was more important than being alive." "What changed?" "I learned the cost." Kaya's eyes went distant. "And decided I'd rather be empty than broken." "You're not empty." "You don't know me well enough to say that." "Then let me." Kaya shook her head. "Trust me, you don't want to know what I've done. Try me." For a moment Kaya considered it, considered telling the truth, the whole ugly truth about who she'd been, what she'd lost, why she'd stopped caring. But then Hayes shouted, "We need to move. Rebel reinforcements are 10 minutes out." The moment broke. Kaya walked toward the convoy without looking back. Arya followed. And behind them, the city burned. The journey back was silent, tense. Kaya sat in the truck bed, her shoulder bandaged, her rifle across her lap, watching the road disappear behind them. Beside her, Arya stared at her hands, still stained with Cade's blood from when she'd pulled the trigger. "I killed him," Arya said suddenly. "You wounded him. Medics kept him alive." "But I pulled the trigger, aimed for his chest, meant to kill." Kaya looked at her. "And? And I don't know how to feel about that." "Don't feel anything. It's easier." Arya's laugh was bitter. "Is that what you do? Just turn it off?" "When I have to." "How?" Kaya was quiet for a long moment. "Practice." The convoy hit a pothole. Everyone jolted. Arya steadied herself, then spoke again. "Back there, when you knelt, you said pride was a luxury. What did you mean?" "Exactly what I said." "That's not an answer." "It's the one you're getting." Arya's frustration was visible. "Why won't you let me in?" "Because there's nothing to let you into." "I don't believe that." "Believe what you want." Silence stretched between them again. But it felt different now, heavier, like something was shifting beneath the surface. Finally Arya spoke, her voice barely audible over the engine. "My father used to say that the hardest part of being a leader isn't making the right choice. It's living with the consequences of the wrong one." Kaya turned to her. "Your father sounds wise." "He was, before the rebels killed him." "I'm sorry." "Are you?" Kaya considered the question. "No, I didn't know him. Can't mourn someone I never met." Arya smiled sadly. "At least you're honest. It's all I've got left." "That and an impressive ability to not die." "That too." The convoy rolled on, leaving the war behind, but Kaya knew better. The war was never behind you. It was always ahead, waiting. And Commander Vasily Cade, wounded, captured, but still breathing, was proof of that. Because men like him didn't stay down. They came back. Angrier, smarter, more dangerous. And next time, Kaya wouldn't hesitate. Next time, she'd finish the job. They reached the compound just as the first mortar round hit. The explosion tore through the eastern checkpoint, sending concrete and bodies flying. Kaya grabbed Arya, throwing her to the floor of the truck as shrapnel screamed overhead. "Contact! Contact!" Hayes screamed into the radio. "We're under fire!" The convoy scattered, vehicles swerving, brakes shrieking, soldiers diving for cover. Another mortar hit, closer this time, flipping a supply truck onto its side. Kaya rolled out of the truck bed, dragging Arya with her. "Stay low! Move to the building!" But Arya was frozen, eyes wide, watching smoke pour from the checkpoint where people had been standing seconds ago. "Now!" Kaya shouted, shoving her forward. They sprinted across open ground as bullets chewed the earth around them. Ramos appeared, returning fire with disciplined bursts. Chen lobbed smoke grenades, creating a gray curtain between them and the incoming rounds. Kaya counted the angles, the trajectories, the patterns. This wasn't random. This was coordinated, professional. They reached the main building, a reinforced structure that served as the compound's headquarters. Inside, chaos reigned. Officers shouting orders, soldiers scrambling for positions, radio chatter overlapping into incomprehensible noise. A colonel Kaya didn't recognize grabbed her arm. "You brought this here. Cade's forces followed you back." Kaya pulled free. "Impossible. We cleared our tail. Ran counter-surveillance for 15 kilometers. Then explain how they knew exactly when and where to hit us." Another explosion rocked the building. Dust rained from the ceiling. Ramos pushed through the crowd. "Sir, with respect, blame can wait. We need to establish a defensive perimeter." "The perimeter's already breached." The colonel pointed at a tactical display showing red markers flooding in from 3 directions. "They're inside the wire. We've got maybe 10 minutes before they overrun us." Kaya studied the display. The attack was too precise, too informed, like someone had drawn them a map. Her eyes narrowed. "Where's Cade?" "Medical holding, sublevel 2. Kaya was moving before he finished, pushing through the crowd toward the stairs. "Vance, wait!" Ramos called after her, but Kaya didn't wait, didn't slow. Just descended into the dimly lit corridor that led to the holding cells. 2 guards stood outside. Both looked nervous. "Open it," Kaya said. "We have orders. Open it now." Something in her voice made them comply. The door swung open. The cell was empty. Kaya's blood went cold. She grabbed the nearest guard by his vest. "Where is he?" I don't know. He was here 20 minutes ago, sedated, restrained." "Who had access?" "Just medical staff and..." An explosion cut him off. Closer than before. The lights flickered. Kaya released him, her mind racing. Cade was loose. The attack was coordinated. They'd been compromised from the inside. She keyed her radio. "Ramos, Cade's gone. Someone let him out. We've got a leak." Static. Then Ramos's voice, tight with stress. "Copy. We're falling back to the central building. If you're not here in 3 minutes, we're sealing the doors." Kaya ran. She found Arya in the operations center, surrounded by officers arguing about evacuation routes and fallback positions. The princess stood at the center, somehow calm despite the chaos, pointing at a map. "If we retreat east, we're exposed," she said. "They'll pick us off in the open." "We don't have a choice," an officer snapped. "Stay here, and we're dead." "Then we make them pay for every inch." The officer laughed bitterly. "You're not military, you don't get a vote." Arya turned to him, her voice dropping to something dangerous. "I'm the reason this kingdom hasn't already collapsed. I think that earns me a voice." Kaya interrupted. "She's right. Retreat is suicide. They've got the numbers and the position. We dig in or we die." "And who the hell are you?" the officer demanded. "The person who's kept her alive this long." Before he could respond, the door burst open. Hayes stumbled in, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead. "They've breached the south wall! We've got hostiles in the compound!" Gunfire erupted somewhere close. Screams echoed through the hallways. The officer paled. "Fall back to secondary positions. Everyone who can fight, grab a weapon." People scattered. Kaya grabbed Arya's arm. "You need to get to the safe room. I'm not hiding while people die. You're the target. If they get you, everything we've done means nothing." Arya pulled free. "Then I'll make sure they don't get me." She picked up a rifle from a fallen soldier, checked the chamber with practiced efficiency. Kaya recognized the movements. Someone had trained her. Recently. "You've been practicing," Kaya said. "I learned from the best." Arya met her gaze. "Now are we fighting or running?" Before Kaya could answer, the wall exploded. Rebels poured through the breach, screaming, firing, killing. The operations center became a slaughterhouse. Kaya moved on instinct. 2 rounds, center mass. A rebel dropped. She pivoted, fired again, another down. Beside her, Arya fought with surprising competence. Controlled bursts, proper stance, actually hitting targets. But there were too many. For every one they killed, 3 more appeared. "Fall back," Ramos shouted from across the room. "Fighting retreat. Move!" They moved, backward through corridors, firing, covering each other, leaving bodies in their wake. Hayes took a round to the leg, cursed, kept shooting. Chen's rifle clicked empty. He drew his sidearm without hesitation. They reached a defensible position, a reinforced conference room with limited entry points. Ramos slammed the door, started piling furniture against it. "How many we got?" she asked. Kaya did a quick count. 12, plus the princess. "Ammunition?" "Enough for maybe 5 minutes of sustained fire." "That's not enough." "I know." Arya reloaded her rifle, her hand steady.
What about the safe room? Can we reach it? Not from here, Chen said, pressing gauze to Hayes' leg. They've got the corridors locked down. Hayes gritted his teeth. So we're trapped. Effectively. Something heavy slammed against the door. Once, twice, the furniture shifted. Ramos raised her rifle. Prepare to engage. But the slamming stopped. Silence fell. Then a voice. Amplified. Familiar. Wrong. Princess Arya, I know you're in there. Not Cade's voice. Someone else. Someone who shouldn't be here. Arya's face went white. No, that's impossible. Who is it? Kaya asked. But Arya just shook her head, backing away from the door. The voice continued. It's been a long time, cousin. I've missed our talks. Arya's breathing quickened. Damien? Kaya grabbed her shoulder. Who's Damien? My cousin, the one who... Arya's voice broke. The one who supports the rebels, who wants the throne. I thought he was back in the capital. He was supposed to be. The door shuddered under another impact. The barricade wouldn't hold much longer. Damien's voice turned cold. You can't hide forever, Arya. Come out now, surrender peacefully, and I promise your people will be treated with mercy. He's lying, Arya whispered. Obviously. What do we do? Kaya looked around the room. 12 soldiers, limited ammunition, no escape route. The math was clear. They were going to die here. Unless. An idea formed. Desperate, dangerous, probably suicidal. But it was all they had. She turned to Ramos. How long can you hold this position? Against what we're facing? Maybe 10 minutes. Why? Because I need 9. Ramos's eyes narrowed. For what? Kaya didn't answer. Just pulled off her jacket, started checking her gear with mechanical precision. Extra magazines, knife, breaching charges she'd taken off a dead rebel earlier. Arya grabbed her arm. What are you doing? Ending this. That's not a plan. It's the only plan we've got. Kaya met her gaze. They want you, so they'll focus everything on this room, which means the rest of the compound will be relatively undefended. You're going after Cade, Ramos said. It wasn't a question. He's the head. Cut it off. The body dies. You don't even know where he is. He'll be where the fighting isn't, somewhere safe, directing operations. Kaya pointed at the tactical display, still functioning despite the chaos. My guess? The command center, upper level. That's where I'd be. Hayes laughed weakly. You're going to fight through an entire army to reach one man. Essentially. That's insane. Yeah, probably. Arya stepped in front of her. You'll die. Maybe. Then don't go. Kaya's expression softened, just slightly, almost imperceptibly. If I don't, we all die. At least this way, some of you might survive. I don't want survival without... Arya stopped herself, looking away. Kaya waited. Without what? Nothing. Just come back. Can't promise that. Then promise you'll try. Kaya nodded once. I'll try. Ramos moved to a ventilation grate in the corner. This connects to the main system. You can use it to move through the building undetected, mostly. Good enough? Kaya pried open the grate, slipped inside. The space was tight, barely enough room to crawl. But it would work. Before she disappeared, Arya called out. Kaya? Kaya paused, looking back. Don't die for me, Arya said quietly. Die with me. If it comes to that. Kaya held her gaze for a long moment, then nodded, and vanished into the darkness. The ventilation system was a maze of metal and dust. Kaya crawled through it, navigating by memory and instinct, following the sound of gunfire and explosions. She emerged in an abandoned office, dropped silently to the floor, listened. Voices. Close. 3, maybe 4 rebels moving through the corridor outside. Kaya checked her rifle. 10 rounds. She'd have to make them count. She opened the door slowly, peered out. 4 hostiles moving away from her, focused on the sounds of battle echoing from below. She raised her rifle. Controlled breathing. Sight picture. Squeeze. The first one dropped. The others spun, searching for the threat. She fired again, 2 down. The remaining 2 scattered, taking cover, returning fire blind. Kaya moved left, flanking, firing on the move. 3 down. The last one saw her, raised his weapon. She was faster. 1 round, center mass. He collapsed. She reloaded, kept moving.
The upper levels were chaos, smoke, fire, bodies. She passed rooms where soldiers made last stands, where medics tried to save the dying, where people prayed and wept and waited for the end. She didn't stop. Couldn't afford to. The command center was ahead, a fortified room at the top of the building. She could hear voices inside, orders being given, positions being coordinated, and one voice that made her blood burn. Cade. He was alive, in charge, directing the slaughter. Kaya approached the door. 2 guards stood watch, both alert, both armed with automatic weapons. She had 4 rounds left. Not enough for a straight fight. She needed a different approach. Kaya holstered her rifle, drew her knife, and waited. One of the guards moved away, checking the corridor, routine patrol. When he passed her position, she struck. One hand over his mouth, the other driving the blade into the base of his skull. Quick, silent, final. She lowered him carefully, took his weapon, his radio, his grenades. The second guard noticed his partner was gone. Yuri? Kaya stepped into view, wearing the dead man's helmet, keeping her head down. The guard relaxed slightly. Where did you... She shot him twice. He dropped. Kaya kicked open the command center door. Inside, a dozen men spun toward her. Cade stood at the center, his arm still in a sling, his face twisted in shock. You, he breathed. Kaya didn't speak, just raised the automatic weapon and fired. The room erupted in chaos. Men dove for cover, someone returned fire. Bullets shredded the walls. She moved through them like a storm, precise, relentless, unstoppable. Every shot counted, every movement deliberate. 3 down, 5, 7. Return fire caught her in the side, burning, tearing. She ignored it, kept shooting. 10 down, 11. Then the weapon clicked empty. Cade stood across the room, pistol raised, his hand shaking. You should have stayed down. Kaya dropped the empty weapon, slowly raised her hands. Yeah, I get that a lot. Any last words? She smiled, cold, humorless. Duck. Cade frowned. The window behind him exploded. A figure crashed through, fast, violent, trained. Ramos. Followed immediately by Chen, then Hayes, limping but firing. And Arya. She moved like someone born to violence, controlled, efficient, deadly. She put 2 rounds into Cade before he could react. He staggered, blood blooming across his chest. Arya walked forward, rifle raised, her face a mask of cold fury. You killed my father, my family, my people. Cade coughed blood. You're just a girl playing soldier. And you're a dead man pretending otherwise. She fired again, center mass, then once more for certainty. Cade collapsed, his eyes wide with disbelief. Arya stood over him, trembling, the rifle smoking in her hands. Kaya approached slowly. You came. Told you. If you die, I die with you. Arya's voice shook. Turns out I'm really tired of people telling me what I can't do. Ramos checked Cade's pulse. He's gone. Good, Arya said. Outside, the sounds of battle were fading. Confused shouts, scattered gunfire. The rebels were losing coordination, falling back. Chen moved to the communication equipment, started transmitting. All units. Enemy commander neutralized. Repeat. Enemy commander is down. Hold your positions. Slowly the firing stopped. The silence that followed was almost worse than the noise. Kaya sat down heavily, pressing a hand to the wound in her side. Blood leaked between her fingers. Arya dropped beside her. You're hit. It's fine. It's not fine. It's survivable. That's all that matters. Hayes appeared with a med kit, started working on the wound with practiced efficiency. You're lucky. Went through clean. No major organs. Told you I was fine. Ramos stood at the window, looking out at the compound. Fires burned. Smoke rose. Bodies lay scattered like discarded dolls. We won, she said quietly. Why doesn't it feel like victory? Because it's not, Kaya said. It's just survival. There's a difference. Arya sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. Thank you. For what? For coming back. Told you I'd try. You did more than try. Arya's voice was soft. You gave me a chance to fight, to be more than just someone who needs protecting. Kaya looked at her, this princess who'd walked into hell and come out a warrior. You always were. You just needed someone to stop coddling you long enough to prove it. Was that your plan all along? Didn't have a plan, just instinct. Good instincts. They sat in silence as Hayes finished bandaging the wound. Outside, soldiers began securing the compound, counting casualties, treating wounded. Chen approached. Final counts coming in. We lost 37. Another 50 wounded. The refugees, most of them made it. Hidden in the safe rooms during the attack. Ramos nodded. And the rebels? Scattered, leaderless, some surrendered, most fled into the city. It's over then. For now, Kaya said. Cade's dead, but his people aren't. They'll regroup, find new leadership, come back. Then we'll be ready, Arya said. Kaya studied her. You sound certain. I am, because I have you. I'm just a soldier, Arya smiled. No. You're the person who taught me that survival isn't enough, that sometimes you have to fight for more than just yourself. Before Kaya could respond, a runner appeared, young, breathless. Princess Arya, you're needed. The council is requesting your presence immediately. Arya stood, straightened her clothes, became someone else. Someone regal. Someone who could carry a kingdom on her shoulders. But before she left, she looked back at Kaya. When this is over, the politics, the reconstruction, all of it, we're going to talk about who you were, who you are. No more deflecting. Looking forward to it, Kaya said dryly. Arya left, surrounded by soldiers who materialized like shadows. Ramos sat beside Kaya. She's right, you know. You're different now, since we pulled her out of that clinic. Different how? Less empty, more human, Kaya snorted. Human's overrated. Maybe, but it suits you. Hayes finished packing up the medkit. For what it's worth, you scared the hell out of me back there. Going after Cade alone. That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever seen. Can it be both? Knowing you? Absolutely. Chen joined them, offering a canteen. Kaya drank deeply, water tasting like metal and dust, but better than anything she'd had in days. What happens now? Chen asked. Now? Kaya looked out the shattered window at the burning city beyond. Now we rebuild. Again. Until the next time someone decides to tear it all down. Cheerful. Realistic. Ramos stood, offering Kaya a hand up. Come on, let's get you to medical. That wound needs proper treatment. Kaya took her hand, let herself be pulled to her feet. Pain lanced through her side, but she ignored it. Pain was just information. Data. Nothing more. They walked through the compound, past soldiers securing positions, medics treating wounded, engineers beginning repairs. The machinery of survival grinding forward. And somewhere in the distance, Arya stood before the council, bloody, exhausted, but unbroken, claiming her birthright. Kaya watched from afar, something unfamiliar stirring in her chest. Pride, maybe. Or recognition. The princess who'd refused to run, who'd chosen to fight, who'd become exactly what this broken kingdom needed. Later, alone in a quiet corner of the medical wing, Kaya sat on a cot, staring at her hands. They were clean now, washed. But she could still see the blood, still feel the weight of the knife, still hear the wet sound of steel sliding between ribs. How many had she killed today? 20? 30? She'd lost count somewhere between the ambush and the command center. The door opened. Arya entered, still wearing combat fatigues, her hair pulled back, her face showing every hour of the last 2 days. They told me you were hiding, she said. Not hiding. Recovering. Looked like hiding to me. Kaya almost smiled. How'd it go with the council? They're arguing about succession laws and military reorganization and a dozen other things I don't care about. Arya sat beside her. But they acknowledged me, formally. I'm no longer just a doctor playing princess. I'm the actual heir. Congratulations. Doesn't feel like an achievement. Never does. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, night was falling, the city fading into shadow. Can I ask you something? Arya said quietly. You're going to anyway. When you knelt in front of Cade, when you begged, was that real or strategy? Kaya considered the question. Both. Explain. I needed him close, distracted, off balance, begging accomplished that. She paused. But part of me meant it. Part of me would have done anything to save those people, even sacrifice my pride. That doesn't sound like the cold, calculated soldier you pretend to be. It's not. Kaya looked at her. I lied. Earlier.
when I said I was empty. Truth is, I feel everything, every death, every failure, every person I couldn't save. I just got good at burying it. Why? Because feeling it means acknowledging it, and acknowledging it means accepting that I'm complicit, that every choice I make costs someone their life. Arya reached for her hand, held it gently. You saved my life multiple times. That has to count for something. Does it? Or did I just choose which life mattered more? That's not fair. It's reality. Arya's grip tightened. Then reality's wrong, and we're going to change it. Kaya looked at their joined hands, hers scarred and calloused, Arya's smooth but strong. How? Together. You teach me to fight. I teach you to care. We find a balance. I don't think it works that way. Then we'll make it work. Arya's voice was firm. Because I'm tired of watching good people destroy themselves trying to save bad worlds. And you're a good person, Kaya, whether you believe it or not. Kaya wanted to argue, to deflect, to retreat behind the armor she'd spent years building. But looking into Arya's eyes, seeing the conviction there, the stubborn refusal to accept easy answers, she found she couldn't. Okay, she said quietly. Okay? Okay? We'll try? No promises. But we'll try. Arya smiled, genuine, warm, beautiful. That's all I ask. They sat together as darkness fell, and the compound settled into uneasy peace. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new threats, new impossible choices. But tonight, for the first time in years, Kaya Vance allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, survival wasn't the best she could hope for. Maybe there was something more, something worth fighting for beyond just the next breath. And maybe the princess sitting beside her, holding her hand in the quiet dark, was proof that even in the worst wars, the best parts of humanity could still survive. Outside, the city burned. Inside, two women who'd been forged in violence chose to believe in something better. And somewhere in the ruins of the capital, scattered rebel forces regrouped, planned, and prepared for the next battle. Because wars didn't end with one victory. They ended when people stopped fighting, and neither side was ready to stop. Not yet. The knock came at 0400 hours. Sharp, military, uncompromising. Kaya opened her eyes, already awake, hand instinctively reaching for the pistol under her pillow. 3 days had passed since the compound attack. 3 days of uneasy peace, medical evaluations, and the suffocating weight of bureaucracy descending like a fog. Enter, she said, sitting up. The door opened. A lieutenant she didn't recognize, pressed uniform, clipboard, the dead eyes of someone who'd never seen real combat. Sergeant Vance, you're wanted in conference room Alpha, immediately. By who? Command. They didn't elaborate. Kaya dressed quickly, standard fatigues, boots laced tight, no weapon. They'd taken those after the debrief. Standard procedure for anyone under investigation, and she was definitely under investigation. She'd killed 43 people in the span of 6 hours. Disobeyed direct orders. Operated without authorization. Compromised security protocols. The fact that she'd saved the princess and ended the immediate threat didn't erase the paperwork. It never did. She followed the lieutenant through empty corridors, past checkpoints where guards watched her with expressions ranging from respect to suspicion. Word had spread. The sniper who'd gone rogue. The soldier who'd decided victory mattered more than protocol. Conference room Alpha was exactly what she expected. Sterile, windowless, dominated by a long table where 5 people sat waiting. She recognized 2 of them, the gray-suited man from her first debrief, the female captain with intelligence insignia. The other 3 were new. A general, 2 stars, weathered face, the kind of man who'd climbed ranks through competence and bodies. A woman in civilian clothes with the bearing of someone who answered to agencies that didn't officially exist. And at the end of the table, looking uncomfortable in formal attire, Princess Arya Solon. Kaya stopped at attention. Reporting is ordered. The general gestured to an empty chair. Sit, Sergeant. She sat, back straight, hands on the table, eyes forward. The general opened a folder thick enough to kill someone with. Sergeant Kaya Vance. Service record, 8 years active duty. Specialized training, reconnaissance, counterinsurgency, advanced marksmanship. Current assignment, personal security detail for Princess Arya Solon. He looked up. Impressive credentials. Problematic execution. Kaya said nothing. In the past 72 hours, You've disobeyed direct orders from 3 separate commanding officers, conducted unauthorized operations in hostile territory, killed 43 enemy combatants without proper authorization, and compromised operational security on multiple occasions. He closed the folder. You want to explain yourself? I completed the mission, sir. Princess Arya is alive. The rebel leadership is neutralized. The compound held. That's not what I asked. With respect, General, my explanation won't change the facts. Either my actions were justified or they weren't. The results speak for themselves. The civilian woman spoke, her voice cool, analytical. The results speak to your effectiveness, Sergeant, not your judgment. There's a difference. Kaya turned to her. And you are? Someone who decides whether effective soldiers remain assets or become liabilities. The woman leaned forward. Tell me about Commander Cade, your first encounter with him. The clinic. Already in my report. Tell me again, in your own words. Kaya exhaled slowly. He surrounded our position, offered terms. I negotiated. Made him believe Princess Arya had poisoned herself. Created enough confusion to escape. You lied to him. I created tactical advantage by faking a death, by manipulating emotional response, by exploiting his investment in keeping the princess alive. The woman's eyes narrowed. Where did you learn that technique? The room went silent. Kaya felt the weight of the question, the implications beneath it. Experience. What kind of experience? The kind you don't put in official reports. The general interrupted. Sergeant, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I need a direct answer. Have you received training beyond your official service record? Kaya met his gaze. Define training. Don't play games. I'm not, sir. Training is a broad term. If you mean formal instruction from recognized institutions, no. If you mean lessons learned through necessity and survival, yes. The gray-suited man from her first debrief spoke up. Your file shows standard infantry progression, basic, advanced individual training, sniper school. Nothing that would explain your performance in the field. The psychological manipulation, the tactical improvisation, the close quarters combat skills you demonstrated. He paused. So where did you really learn? Kaya was quiet for a long moment, then, you want the truth? That's why we're here. The truth is, I was someone else before I was Sergeant Vance, someone who did things I'm not proud of, someone who learned that survival requires more than shooting straight and following orders. She looked at each of them in turn. You want details, locations, dates? They don't exist. I made sure of that. Made sure how? The civilian woman asked. By burning everything that connected me to who I was. By starting over. By becoming exactly what the military needed. A good soldier who didn't ask questions. Arya spoke for the first time, her voice quiet but firm. You're describing someone running from something. Kaya looked at her. Or running towards something better. The general stood pacing. This committee has been tasked with determining whether you're an asset or a threat. Right now, the evidence suggests both. You're effective, deadly, unpredictable. That makes you valuable and dangerous in equal measure. So what's the verdict? Kaya asked. Depends on what you tell us in the next 10 minutes. He stopped pacing, facing her directly. Who were you before Sergeant Kaya Vance? The silence stretched. Kaya could feel Arya's eyes on her, waiting. Could sense the others leaning forward, hungry for the secret she'd buried years ago. She'd known this moment would come eventually, had prepared for it, had a dozen lies ready. But looking at Arya, seeing the trust there, the belief that Kaya was someone worth saving, she found she couldn't lie. Not anymore. I was a contractor, she said quietly. Private military. The kind that operates in places governments don't officially send soldiers. We did extractions, asset denial, targeted removals. Anything that required deniability. The civilian woman's expression didn't change. Which company? Doesn't exist anymore. I made sure of that too. Why? Because we crossed lines that shouldn't be crossed, took contracts that shouldn't be taken, and I woke up one day covered in blood I couldn't justify anymore. So you ran, the general said. So I changed, Kaya's voice hardened. Enlisted under a new identity. Went through basic training with kids 10 years younger. Learned to follow orders instead of making them. Became someone who protected instead of destroyed. And you thought we wouldn't find out? The gray-suited man asked. I thought I'd buried it deep enough. Apparently not. The captain spoke up. How many contracts did you fulfill? 17. How many resulted in casualties? All of them. That was the point. Civilian casualties? Kaya's jaw tightened. One. That's when I stopped. The room absorbed this. Arya looked stricken. The general's expression was unreadable. The civilian woman pulled out a tablet, swiped through something. There was an incident 6 years ago, Mogadishu. A private contractor opened fire on a safe house, killing 12 people, including a high-value target and his family. 3 children among the dead. The contractor disappeared before authorities arrived. Was that you? No. Then who? That was my partner, and I killed him for it. Silence. Complete. Suffocating. The woman's eyes narrowed. Explain. The contract was clean termination, target only, minimal exposure. My partner decided to go scorched earth, killed everyone in the building to eliminate witnesses. Kaya's voice was flat, emotionless. I put 2 rounds in his head and left, burned my identity, erased everything, and swore I'd never let someone die because I followed orders without question again. So you became someone who breaks orders instead, the general said. I became someone who makes the right call, even when it's not authorized. And who decides what's right? I do, based on the people in front of me, the lives at stake, the consequences of action versus inaction. Kaya leaned forward. You want to know why I disobeyed orders? Why I went after those refugees? Why I killed Cade without waiting for authorization? Because in my experience, by the time authorization comes, everyone's already dead, so I make the call. And I live with the consequences. Arya's voice was barely a whisper. You never told me. Would it have changed anything? Kaya asked. I don't know. Maybe. That's why I didn't tell you. The general sat back down, steepling his fingers. Here's our problem, Sergeant, or whatever your real name is. You're admitting to operating under a false identity, to concealing your past, to making unilateral tactical decisions without authorization. Under normal circumstances, this would result in immediate discharge and possible criminal prosecution. But these aren't normal circumstances, Kaya said. No, they're not. He glanced at Arya. The princess has specifically requested you remain on her security detail. She's made it clear that without you, she doesn't trust the protection we can offer. And given recent events, her trust is valuable. The civilian woman added, We've also confirmed your account, the Mogadishu incident. Your partner's identity, a man named Vincent Cole, wanted for multiple war crimes. He died 6 years ago from 2 gunshot wounds to the head. Ballistics suggest close range. Professional execution. She paused. You weren't lying. I don't lie about bodies, Kaya said. Only survival. The gray-suited man spoke. We have a proposal. Continue your assignment. Protect the princess. Help stabilize the region. But you do it under full disclosure. We monitor you, evaluate you. One mistake, one unauthorized decision that gets people killed, and you're done. Court-martialed, imprisoned, or worse. And if I refuse, then you're discharged immediately, dishonorably, with a file that follows you everywhere you go. He smiled thinly. Not much of a choice, is it? Kaya looked at Arya. What do you want? Arya stood, facing the committee. I want Sergeant Vance on my detail. I want her training my security team. I want her counsel when making tactical decisions. And I want you to stop treating her like a criminal and start recognizing her for what she is, the person who saved my life when everyone else said it was impossible. The general raised an eyebrow. Your Highness, with respect, you're emotionally invested. I'm the heir to a collapsing kingdom, Arya interrupted. I'm the person every rebel faction wants dead or captured. I'm the symbol holding this entire region together. And I'm telling you that Sergeant Vance has proven her loyalty more thoroughly than anyone in this room. She looked at Kaya. She's earned my trust. That should be enough. The committee exchanged glances. Some kind of silent communication Kaya couldn't read. Finally, the general nodded. Very well, Sergeant Vance, you're reinstated to active duty, full security clearance restored, but understand we'll be watching closely. Understood, sir. Dismissed. Kaya stood, saluted, and left. Arya followed. They walked in silence through the compound, past guards and checkpoints, until they reached a quiet courtyard where pre-dawn light was just beginning to paint the sky. Arya stopped, turning to face her. A contractor. Children dead. Your partner executed. Why didn't you tell me? Because I thought it would change how you saw me. It does. Kaya's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in her eyes. Understood. You don't understand. Arya stepped closer. It changes how I see you because now I know why you're so good at keeping people alive. You've seen what happens when you fail. When you follow bad orders. When you trust the wrong person. She paused. You're not running from your past. You're making sure it never happens again. That's generous. It's accurate. Arya's voice softened. You killed someone you trusted because he murdered innocents. Then you spent 6 years trying to become someone better. That's not weakness. That's strength. Or cowardice. Depends on the perspective. Stop. Arya grabbed her shoulders. Stop deflecting. Stop pretending you don't deserve forgiveness. You've saved dozens of lives, including mine, multiple times. At some point, you have to accept that maybe you've balanced the scales. Kaya looked away. Scales don't balance, they just get heavier. Then let me help carry the weight. Why? Because that's what people do when they... Arya stopped herself, looking away. When they what? Kaya asked quietly. When they care about someone. The words hung in the air between them. Heavy. Undeniable. Kaya's voice was barely audible. You shouldn't. Too late. Arya, I know all the reasons why this is complicated. The position, the politics, the fact that you're convinced you're not worth caring about. Arya met her gaze. But I don't care about any of that. I care about the person who held a syringe to my neck to save refugees, who knelt in front of an enemy to buy time, who walked into an army alone because it was the right tactical decision. That person deserves to be cared about. Kaya was quiet for a long time. Then, I don't know how to do this. Do what? Let someone in. Trust someone. Be more than just a weapon. Then we'll figure it out together. Arya smiled. You're good at improvising, right? Despite everything, Kaya almost smiled. Apparently. Before either could say more, Ramos appeared, looking apologetic. Sorry to interrupt, but we've got a situation. Kaya's expression shifted immediately, personal to professional, in half a heartbeat. What kind? Intelligence just intercepted communications. Rebel cells are regrouping faster than expected. They've got a new leader, someone with military training, tactical knowledge, and they're planning something big. How big? Coordinated strikes across 3 cities. Target date, 48 hours. Arya's face went pale. Can we stop it? If we move fast, decisively, without waiting for authorization. Ramos looked at Kaya, which is why Command wants you leading the operation. Kaya raised an eyebrow. They just threatened to court-martial me for unauthorized decisions. Now they want me to make more? They want results, and you deliver results. What's the catch? You don't get backup, don't get reinforcements, don't get to fail. Ramos handed her a file. 4 targets, 4 teams. You coordinate and execute simultaneously. Miss one, and the whole operation collapses. Kaya opened the file, scanning the intelligence. Her mind was already working. Approach vectors, timing, resources, contingencies. I'll need Hayes, Chen, and 12 others I select personally. Done. Full equipment, no restrictions. Within reason. No, full stop. I don't operate with half measures. Ramos sighed. I'll make it happen. And Princess Arya stays here, secure location, no exceptions. Arya stepped forward. Absolutely not. If you're going into the field, I'm staying here, Kaya said firmly. This isn't negotiable. You're the target. You're the symbol. You're the reason we're fighting. That means you don't get to risk yourself on operations. You don't give me orders. No. But I give tactical assessments, and tactically, you're worth more alive than dead. So you stay. They stared at each other, neither willing to back down. Finally, Arya nodded. Fine. But when you come back, we finish our conversation. If I come back? When? Kaya held her gaze for a moment longer, then turned to Ramos. Assemble the team. I want full briefing in 30 minutes. Understood. Ramos left. Arya caught Kaya's arm. Be careful. Always am. I mean it. Don't do anything stupid. Define stupid. You know what I mean? Kaya's expression softened, just slightly. I'll come back. I promise. You said you don't make promises you can't keep. I don't, which is why I'm making this one. Chua. The briefing room was packed. Hayes and Chen sat front row, looking alert despite the early hour. Behind them, 12 soldiers Kaya had personally selected, all experienced,
all proven, all willing to take orders from someone who'd officially been under investigation hours ago. Kaya stood at the front, tactical display showing 4 target locations. Listen up. We've got 48 hours to neutralize 4 simultaneous threats. Miss one, and thousands of civilians die. No pressure.
A few nervous laughs.
She pointed at the first location. Target Alpha. Weapons cache in the industrial district. 20 hostiles, fortified position. Hayes, that's yours. Breach, clear, demo the facility. Extraction time, 8 minutes. Hayes nodded. Doable. Target Bravo. Communication hub, eastern sector. 15 hostiles, civilian shields likely. Chen, your primary. Non-lethal preferred, lethal authorized. Time, 10 minutes. Chen studied the layout. Tight, but manageable. Target Charlie. Rebel command post, abandoned hotel. 30 hostiles, unknown leadership. I'm taking that one personally. Time, 12 minutes. Someone raised a hand. And target Delta? Kaya pulled up the 4th location. Fuel depot. 50 plus hostiles, heavy weapons, SAMs. This is the big one. If it goes up, it takes out 3 city blocks and kills hundreds. Who's handling it? Team Delta, 6 of you. Specialist Morales leads. She looked at a woman in the 3rd row. Compact, dangerous, with the scars of someone who'd earned her rank. You comfortable with that? Morales stood. Yes, ma'am. But 50 hostiles against 6 shooters. We'll need a force multiplier. You'll have one. I'm calling in a favor. Air support. 1 gunship, limited ammunition, 5-minute window. You coordinate the strike, mark targets, extract before the depot detonates. And if the gunship doesn't show, then you improvise. Because failure isn't an option. The room absorbed this. No one objected. No one questioned. Hayes spoke up. What about insertion? We going in loud or quiet? Quiet until we're compromised. Then loud as necessary. Each team operates independently but synchronized. We hit simultaneously at 0300 tomorrow. Any target secured early provides support to others. Questions? Silence. Good. Study your layouts, memorize your objectives. Get rest, because tomorrow we end this. The room cleared except for Hayes, Chen, and Morales. Hayes approached. You really think we can pull this off? No idea. That's comforting. It's honest. Kaya looked at the tactical display. But we don't need to pull it off perfectly. We just need to succeed enough that the other side loses faith. Break their coordination. Make them question their leadership. Force them to retreat instead of attack. Chen crossed his arms. And if they don't retreat? Then we kill every single one of them until they do. Morales smiled grimly. I like this plan. You haven't heard the worst part yet, Kaya said. Which is? If anything goes wrong, I'm the one command blames. So I need you to be perfect. Understood? Understood. That night, Kaya couldn't sleep. She lay in her quarters, staring at the ceiling, running through scenarios. What if Hayes got pinned down? What if Chen encountered more civilians than expected? What if the gunship never showed? What if she failed? The knock at her door was quiet, almost apologetic. Come in, she said without moving. Arya entered, closing the door behind her. She wore civilian clothes, jeans, a sweater, her hair down, looking less like a princess and more like the doctor Kaya had first met in that ruined clinic. Couldn't sleep either? Arya asked. Operational planning. Liar. You're worrying. Same thing. Arya sat on the edge of the bed. Talk to me. About what? Anything. Everything. The mission. Your past. Whatever's keeping you awake. Kaya was quiet for a moment. Then, I keep thinking about Mogadishu. About the moment I realized my partner had killed those children. About the choice I made. To kill him. To become someone else. To erase who I was and start over. She turned to look at Arya. What if that person, the one before, is who I really am? And all this, the uniform, the orders, the protection detail, what if it's just a costume I'm wearing? Then it's a costume that saved lives, Arya said, including mine. For now. But what happens when the costume slips? When I make the same mistakes? Then I'll be there to stop you, just like you stopped your partner. Kaya sat up. You don't know that you can. Yes, I do. Arya met her gaze. Because, unlike your partner, you have something to lose now. People who matter. A purpose beyond just survival. That makes me weaker.
Not stronger. No, it makes you human. They sat in silence. Kaya's mind still racing, but slower now, less chaotic. I'm scared, she admitted quietly. Of what? Of failing you. Of becoming someone you can't trust. Of letting people die because I made the wrong call. Arya took her hand. Then don't make the wrong call. It's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. Trust yourself. Trust your team. Trust that the person you've become is better than the person you were. Kaya looked at their joined hands. And if I'm not, then I'll remind you, every day, until you believe it. Something shifted in Kaya's chest, that unfamiliar warmth she kept trying to bury. Why do you care so much? Arya smiled. Because someone has to. Might as well be me. That's not an answer. It's the only one I'm giving right now. She stood, moving toward the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow, you save lives. Again. Arya. She paused, looking back. Thank you, Kaya said. For what? For not giving up on me. Arya's smile widened. Never. She left. And for the first time in years, Kaya Vance closed her eyes and actually slept. The operation launched at 0300 on the mark. 4 teams, 4 targets, 1 synchronized assault. Kaya moved through Target Charlie like a ghost, silent, precise, lethal. Her team followed her lead, clearing rooms with practiced efficiency. Rebels fell before they knew they were under attack. Over the radio, updates streamed in. Hayes. Target Alpha secure. Demo charges set. Extraction in 3. Chen. Target Bravo engaged. Civilian situation worse than expected. Need 5 more minutes. Morales. Target Delta. Gunship is here. Marking targets now. Kaya reached the command post, a suite on the top floor where 3 men hunched over maps and radios. They looked up as she entered. She didn't give them time to react. 3 shots, 3 bodies. Target Charlie neutralized, she said into her radio. All team status? Hayes, clear and moving. Chen, almost there, contact, we're engaged. Morales, gunship inbound, 30 seconds. Kaya made the call. Hayes, redirect to Target Bravo. Chen needs support. Copy, moving now. Morales, confirm target package. Confirmed, fuel depot is lit, we're extracting. Explosions rumbled in the distance, the depot going up. Mission accomplished. But Chen was still engaged, still fighting. Kaya sprinted for the exit, her team following. Chen, we're coming to you. Hold position. Negative. They're flanking. Gunfire, screaming, then silence. Chen, report. Static. Kaya's blood went cold. She ran faster, covering ground with desperate speed. She reached Target Bravo to find Hayes already there, laying down suppressing fire. Bodies everywhere, civilians cowering in corners, and Chen on the ground, clutching his side, blood pooling. Kaya dropped beside him, assessing. How bad? Bad enough. He coughed blood. But I'm not dead yet. Hayes, secure the perimeter. Medic, now. A medic appeared, working quickly. The wound was serious but survivable. Chen grabbed Kaya's arm. Did we get them all? Kaya looked around. 4 targets, all neutralized. Rebel coordination shattered. Yeah, she said. We got them all. Chen smiled weakly. Then it was worth it. Motat. The after-action report took hours. Casualties. 3 friendly wounded, none dead. Enemy. 97 confirmed killed, dozens captured, leadership eliminated. Success by any metric. But standing in the debriefing room, Kaya felt hollow. Chen was in surgery. Hayes had taken a graze to the shoulder. Morales' team had barely made it out before the depot exploded. They'd won, but the cost kept adding up. The general entered, his expression unreadable. Hell of an operation, Sergeant. Thank you, sir. Command is impressed. The rebel cells are scattered. Their coordination is broken. You bought us time. How much time? Enough to matter. He paused. You're being recommended for commendation. I don't want a medal. I want my people taken care of. They will be. You have my word. He studied her. You know, when we brought you in for that committee, I thought you were a liability, a loose cannon. Now I think you might be exactly what this war needs. What's that? Someone who makes the right call even when it's not authorized. Someone who wins. Kaya shook her head. Winning and surviving aren't the same thing, sir. No,
But right now, we need both. He left. Kaya stood alone, staring at the tactical display showing cleared targets. 4 red markers turned green. Success. But she couldn't shake the image of Chen bleeding, of Hayes fighting through pain, of Morales running from an explosion with seconds to spare. The door opened. Arya entered, still in civilian clothes, looking exhausted and relieved in equal measure. "You're back," she said. "I'm back." "Chen?" "Stable. Surgery went well. He'll recover." Arya crossed the room, stopping inches away. "You kept your promise." "I did." "Thank you." They stood close, neither moving, the air between them charged with something unspoken. Finally, Arya spoke. "What happens now?" "Now?" Kaya exhaled. "Now we rebuild. Again. Prepare for the next threat, because there's always a next threat." "That sounds exhausting." "It is." "Then maybe we should find something worth fighting for besides just survival." Kaya looked at her. "Like what?" Arya smiled. "Like a future. A real one. Where kingdoms don't collapse and soldiers don't have to make impossible choices." "That's idealistic." "Maybe. But I'm learning from someone who taught me that impossible choices are just opportunities to prove everyone wrong." Despite everything, Kaya smiled. "I never said that." "You didn't have to. You showed me." They stood together as dawn broke outside, painting the compound in shades of gold. And for the first time, Kaya Vance allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, there was more to life than the next mission. Maybe there was a reason to come back. Maybe there was someone worth coming back for. And maybe that was enough. The medical wing smelled like antiseptic and hope. Kaya sat beside Chen's bed, watching the steady rise and fall of his chest, the monitors beeping their reassuring rhythm. He'd been in recovery for 18 hours. The surgeon said he'd walk again, fight again, live. She counted that as a victory worth more than any medal. "You know, staring at me won't make me heal faster," Chen said, without opening his eyes. Kaya almost smiled. "How long have you been awake?" "Long enough to wonder why you're sitting here instead of sleeping." "Couldn't sleep." "Liar. You're avoiding something." He opened his eyes, turning his head to look at her. "Or someone." Kaya didn't respond. Chen shifted carefully, wincing. "You saved my life. Again. At some point, you're going to have to accept that maybe you're not the monster you think you are." "I'm not." "Yeah, you are. I've seen it in your eyes. Every time someone gets hurt. Every time we lose someone. You add it to some invisible ledger like you're keeping score." He paused. "But here's the thing. You're counting the wrong numbers. You count the people who die. I count the people who live because of you." "That's not the same thing." "It's exactly the same thing, just a different perspective." Before Kaya could argue, Hayes appeared in the doorway, arm in a sling, looking tired but alive. "They're calling for you. Main conference room, something big." Kaya stood. "What kind of big?" "The kind where generals and politicians pretend they know what they're doing." He grimaced. "Also, the princess is there, looking official." Kaya's chest tightened. "I'll be there." She left Chen with a nod, followed Hayes through the compound. The hallways were busier now, engineers repairing damage, soldiers rotating shifts, the machinery of survival grinding forward. The conference room was packed, officers, advisors, civilian authorities. And at the head of the table, wearing formal attire that made her look like someone born to rule, Princess Arya Solon. She met Kaya's eyes across the room. Something unspoken passed between them. The general from the committee stood. "Sergeant Vance, thank you for joining us. Please, sit." Kaya sat, hyper-aware of every eye on her. The general continued. "In light of recent operations and the neutralization of rebel leadership, the Sullivan Council has made several decisions regarding the kingdom's future." "Princess Arya?" Arya stood, her voice clear and commanding. "The rebel threat has been significantly reduced but not eliminated. Scattered cells remain. Sympathizers hide in every city. We've won battles, but the war continues." She paused. "Which is why I'm implementing immediate reforms, military restructuring, new security protocols, and the creation of a specialized unit tasked with counterinsurgency and high-value protection." The room murmured. Officers exchanged glances. Arya's gaze settled on Kaya. "This unit will operate with autonomy, will be authorized to make tactical decisions without waiting for committee approval, will be composed of soldiers proven in combat and loyal to the kingdom's future, not its past."
Kaya felt the weight of where this was going. I'm appointing Sergeant Kaya Vance as commander of this unit, effective immediately. Silence. Complete. Shocked. Then the room erupted. Officers protesting, advisors objecting, voices overlapping in chaos. The general raised a hand. Your Highness, with respect, Sergeant Vance is... The person who saved my life 4 times, Arya interrupted. The person who neutralized Commander Cade. The person who coordinated last night's operation with 0 friendly casualties and complete success. The person I trust more than anyone in this room. She's also someone who operated under false identity, who concealed her past, who makes unauthorized decisions, which is exactly why she's perfect for this role. Arya's voice hardened. I need someone who does what's right instead of what's authorized. Someone who values lives over protocols. Someone who's already proven they'll die before they let this kingdom fall. The general looked at Kaya. And you? What do you say to this? Kaya stood slowly. I say the princess is making a mistake. Arya's expression flickered. What? I'm not a leader. I'm a weapon. Give me a target, I'll neutralize it. Give me a mission, I'll complete it. But leading, building something instead of destroying, I don't know how to do that. Then learn, Arya said. The same way you learn to be a soldier after being a contractor. The same way you learn to save instead of kill. That's different. It's exactly the same. You're just scared. The words hung in the air. True. Undeniable. Kaya met Arya's gaze. Yeah, I am. Good. Fear means you understand the stakes. Arya stepped closer. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to do what you've always done. Make the hard calls. Protect the people who can't protect themselves. Build something worth fighting for. And if I fail, then you fail trying to do something right, instead of succeeding at doing nothing. Kaya was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to the general. What's the unit's mandate? The general sighed. Counterinsurgency operations, high-value asset protection, intelligence gathering, tactical response to emerging threats. You'd report directly to Princess Arya and the Defense Council. Full operational autonomy within defined parameters. Defined by who? You, within reason. Kaya looked around the room. At the officers who still doubted her. At the advisors who saw her as a risk. At Arya, who saw her as something more. I accept, she said quietly. On one condition. Which is, the general asked. I choose my team. No political appointments, no compromise candidates. Only people I trust with my life. The general glanced at Arya. She nodded. Agreed, he said. The announcement spread through the compound like wildfire. Sergeant Vance, promoted to captain. Given command. Authorized to build a unit from scratch. The reactions were mixed. Some soldiers celebrated, some grumbled, some simply watched, and waited to see if she'd succeed or fail. Kaya found Hayes and Ramos in the armory, cleaning weapons. Heard the news, Hayes said without looking up. Captain Vance has a nice ring to it. Shut up. I'm serious, you earned it. Ramos set down her rifle. What do you need from us? Your help. I'm building a team. Need people I trust, people who won't hesitate when decisions get ugly. How ugly we talking? Hayes asked. The kind where protocol says one thing and survival says another. Hayes grinned. My favorite kind? Ramos was more cautious. What about command? They going to interfere? Not if we deliver results, Kaya paused. But I need to know you're in. Both of you. Because this isn't standard military. This is operating in gray areas. Making calls that might haunt us. Living with consequences that don't fit in reports. So, basically what we've been doing already, Hayes said, just with official authorization. Essentially. Ramos stood, extending her hand. I'm in. Someone has to keep you from getting yourself killed. Hayes followed. Same. But I want hazard pay. There is no hazard pay. Then I want better coffee in the mess hall.
I'll see what I can do.
Over the next 2 weeks, Kaya built her team. 12 soldiers, each one hand-picked, each one proven. Chen, recovering but insisting on joining. Morales, who'd earned her place leading Target Delta. A sniper named Kowalski, who could hit targets at impossible ranges. A demolitions expert called Mouse, who could disarm anything or blow it to hell with equal efficiency. They trained together, ate together, learned each other's rhythms. And slowly, something formed. Not just a unit,
a family. Arya visited often, sometimes observing training, sometimes pulling Kaya aside for strategy discussions that became something more. Conversations about the future, about what came after the fighting stopped, if it ever stopped. One evening, Kaya found Arya on the compound's outer wall, watching the sunset paint the ruined city in shades of gold and crimson. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Arya said without turning. "Even when everything's broken." Kaya joined her. "Beauty doesn't rebuild infrastructure, doesn't feed refugees, doesn't stop the next attack." "No, but it reminds us why we're fighting, why survival isn't enough." Arya looked at her. "You've changed since we met." "Have I?" "You smile more, talk more, actually let people help you instead of carrying everything alone." "That's your fault. I'll take credit." Arya paused. "Can I ask you something personal?" "You're going to anyway. Do you regret it? Killing your partner, erasing who you were, starting over?" Kaya considered the question. "I regret that it was necessary. But no, I don't regret the choice. He was killing innocents. I stopped him. End of story." "But it cost you everything, your identity, your past, my soul?" Kaya smiled without humor. "Maybe, but souls are overrated when children are dying." Arya was quiet. Then, "What if I told you that you could have it back? Your past, your real name, everything you buried?" I'd ask why I'd want that. "Because hiding forever isn't living. It's just surviving. And you taught me there's a difference." Kaya turned to face her fully. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I can grant you a pardon, officially. Erase your false identity, restore your real one, give you back everything you sacrificed." "In exchange for what?" "Nothing, just the truth. Who you were, who you are. No more hiding." Kaya's chest tightened. "You don't know what you're offering." "Yes, I do. I'm offering you freedom. Freedom's an illusion." "Then let's make it real." Arya stepped closer. "I know you're scared. I know you think you don't deserve it, but I'm telling you, as someone who's seen you at your worst and your best, you've earned the right to be yourself." Kaya looked away, her jaw working. "My real name is Kaya. That part was always true. The rest is just noise." "Then tell me the noise. All of it." And in the fading light, Kaya did. She told Arya about her childhood, foster homes, military school, the desperate need to belong somewhere, about joining the private contractor firm at 23, about the missions that started noble and became nightmares, about Vincent Cole, her partner, who'd crossed every line until there were no lines left, about Mogadishu, the children, the choice, about the years after, building a new identity, enlisting, becoming someone who protected instead of destroyed. She told her everything, and when she finished, Arya took her hand. "Thank you." "For what?" "For trusting me with the truth. You already knew most of it. But hearing you say it matters." Arya squeezed her hand. "You're not a monster, Kaya. You're someone who made terrible choices and spent years making better ones. That's called growth, redemption, being human." "I don't feel human." "Then let me help you remember how." They stood together as darkness fell, and the city lights flickered on, small, defiant points against the night. The attack came 3 weeks later, not rebels, not insurgents, something worse. A coordinated assault by foreign mercenaries, professionals hired by forces who wanted the kingdom destabilized, the princess dead, the region plunged into chaos. They hit at dawn, fast, brutal, precise. Kaya's unit responded immediately. She moved through the compound like a force of nature, her team following her lead. Haze covered left. Morales took high ground. Chen, still recovering but refusing to sit out, coordinated communications. The fighting was intense. Professional soldiers against professional soldiers. No amateurs, no hesitation. Kaya killed 6 before reaching the command center where Arya was supposed to be secured. The door was blown open. Guards dead. Arya was gone. Kaya's blood went cold. She keyed her radio. "All units, Princess Arya is missing. I repeat, asset is compromised. Find her, now." But even as she said it, she knew. This wasn't about killing Arya. This was about taking her. Leverage, ransom, political destabilization. Kaya sprinted for the vehicle bay, her mind racing through scenarios. They'd need transport, something fast, Something. She saw it. A black SUV tearing through the compound gates, guards firing after it uselessly. Kaya grabbed a motorcycle, kicked it to life, and gave chase. The city blurred past. She wove through traffic, around obstacles, gaining ground. Ahead, the SUV swerved, trying to lose her. She drew her sidearm, fired. The rear window shattered. The SUV accelerated. Kaya pushed harder, closing the gap. She could see figures inside, 4, maybe 5. And one smaller silhouette fighting. Arya was still alive. Still fighting. The SUV took a hard turn into an abandoned industrial district. Kaya followed, tires screaming. They stopped in the center of an empty lot. No cover, no escape, just open ground. A trap. Kaya stopped 30 feet away, engine idling. 4 men exited the vehicle, weapons raised. Professional. Calm. Expecting this. The 5th dragged Arya out, hands bound, mouth gagged, but eyes fierce and unbroken. The leader stepped forward, older, scarred, the kind of man who'd done this 100 times. Captain Vance, predictable as always. Kaya dismounted, hands visible. Let her go. No. Then what do you want? Your surrender, your unit disbanded, your influence removed from the equation. In exchange for what? Her life? In exchange for everyone's life. Refuse, and we kill her. Then we kill your team. Then we burn this entire kingdom to ash. Kaya's mind worked fast. 4 hostiles, 1 hostage, no backup, limited ammunition. The math said she was dead. But math didn't account for everything. She raised her hands. Okay, you win. Take me. Let her go. The leader smiled. You think we're stupid? You're both leverage. You both die. But we'll make it quick if you surrender now. Define quick. Bullet to the head. Clean. Professional. Kaya nodded slowly. And if I don't surrender? We make it slow, starting with her. Arya's eyes met Kaya's. She shook her head frantically, trying to speak through the gag. Kaya ignored her. All right, let's do this right. Give me a moment to say goodbye. The leader hesitated, then nodded. 1 minute, then we end this. Kaya approached Arya slowly, hands still raised. The mercenaries tracked her but didn't fire. She knelt beside Arya, close enough to whisper. Trust me. Arya's eyes were wide, terrified. Kaya's hands moved, fast, precise. She removed the gag, cut the bonds with a blade hidden in her sleeve. When I move, you run, she whispered. Don't stop, don't look back. Kaya, run. Then everything happened at once. Kaya stood, spun, drew her sidearm, and fired. The leader went down. She pivoted, dropped another mercenary. Return fire erupted, bullets screamed past. Arya ran. Kaya provided cover, firing, moving, creating chaos. She took a round to the shoulder, ignored it, kept shooting. 2 mercenaries left, both taking position, both trained. Kaya was outgunned, outpositioned, out of time. She made peace with dying. Then gunfire erupted from a different direction. Haze appeared, rifle chattering. Morales followed, flanking. Chen limped in, sidearm firing. The remaining mercenaries went down. Silence. Kaya collapsed to one knee, bleeding, breathing hard. Hayes ran to her. You're hit. I'm fine. Where's Arya? Safe. Chen got her to cover. Good. She tried to stand, failed. The adrenaline was fading, pain rushing in. Morales pressed gauze to her shoulder. You're going to medical, now. Mission first? Mission's over. You won. Again. Morales smiled. Now stop being a hero and let us save you for once. Iniskin. The recovery took 2 weeks. Surgery, physical therapy, debriefs that felt more like interrogations. But through it all, Arya visited. Every day. Sometimes talking, sometimes just sitting in comfortable silence. On the 14th day, Kaya was cleared for light duty. She found Arya in her office, a real office now, befitting a crown princess preparing to rule. You look official, Kaya said from the doorway. Arya looked up, smiled. And you look alive. I'll take it. Heard you've been busy. New policies, infrastructure projects, peace negotiations. Someone has to rebuild what war destroyed. Arya set down her pen. How's the shoulder? Functional, won't be doing pull-ups for a while, but I can shoot. That's very on-brand for you. Kaya stepped inside, closing the door. I need to tell you something.
Arya's expression grew serious. What? I'm leaving. The words hung between them like smoke. Arya stood slowly. What do you mean leaving? The unit, the protection detail, all of it. Kaya met her gaze. You don't need me anymore. You've got a competent team, stable leadership, peace negotiations underway. I'd just be redundant. That's not true. It is. You've grown into your role, become the leader this kingdom needs. You don't need a broken soldier playing bodyguard. Arya crossed the room, stopping inches away.
Is this about what I said? About giving you back your identity? It's about recognizing when my part in the story is over.
Your part isn't over. It's just beginning.
Kaya shook her head. I'm not built for peacetime, Arya. I'm built for war, for violence, for making impossible choices. And right now you need builders, not destroyers.
I need you.
The rawness in Arya's voice made Kaya's chest ache.
You think you do, Kaya said quietly. But what you need is someone who can stand beside you, build a future, be a partner in peace, not just war.
And that's not me.
Then become that person.
I don't know how.
Then I'll teach you, the same way you taught me to fight, to survive,
to be more than just someone who needs protecting. They stood close enough to touch, close enough to feel each other breathing.
I'm scared, Kaya admitted.
Of what? Of failing you, of becoming dead weight, of you realizing I'm not worth the trouble. Arya took her face in both hands. Listen to me. You saved my life, changed my life, showed me what strength actually means. You're not dead weight, you're not trouble. You're the person I... She stopped, looking away.
The person you what?
Kaya asked softly. Arya met her eyes again. The person I love. There. I said it. And I'm not taking it back. Kaya's breath caught. Arya. I love you, Kaya Vance. Or whoever you were before. Whoever you are now, whoever you're becoming. I love all of it. And if you leave, you're not protecting me. You're running. Again. Maybe running is what I do best. No, fighting is what you do best. So fight. For this. For us. For a future that isn't just survival. Kaya was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly, carefully, she kissed her. It was soft, gentle. Nothing like the violence that had defined their relationship. When they pulled apart, Arya smiled. Does this mean you're staying? On one condition. Name it. You stop trying to fix me. I'm broken in ways that don't get fixed. And that's okay. Deal. As long as you stop trying to martyr yourself. I'm tired of watching you collect wounds like trophies. I'll try. That's all I ask. 6 months later, the kingdom stabilized. Peace talks succeeded. Rebel factions disbanded or integrated. Reconstruction began in earnest. Kaya's unit evolved, less combat operations, more training, teaching the next generation of soldiers how to protect instead of just destroy. She found she was good at it, better than she expected. Hayes took over field operations. Morales ran tactical planning. Chen coordinated with civilian authorities. And Kaya learned to be something other than a weapon. She learned to build. One evening, she stood on the same wall where she'd once watched the city burn. Now it was lit with streetlights and hope. Reconstruction crews working into the night, people returning to homes they'd fled. Arya joined her, slipping an arm around her waist. Thinking deep thoughts? Wondering if this is real. The peace? Or us? Both. It's real. Fragile, maybe. Imperfect, definitely. But real. Kaya leaned into her. I keep waiting for it to fall apart. Then stop waiting and start living. They stood together, watching the city heal. Behind them, Hayes and Chen were arguing about something meaningless. Morales was teaching new recruits proper form. The machinery of peace grinding forward. Kaya had spent years believing she was only good for war, only valuable when destroying. But looking at the city, at the people rebuilding, the children playing, the future taking shape, she realized something. Maybe the strongest warriors weren't the ones who fought. Maybe they were the ones who knew when to stop fighting, who chose to protect instead of destroy, who believed in futures worth building instead of just threats worth eliminating. She'd been a contractor, a killer, a soldier, a survivor. Now she was something else, something better. She was someone who'd learned that survival wasn't enough, that redemption was possible, that even broken people could build beautiful things. Arya squeezed her hand. What are you thinking about? Kaya smiled, genuine, warm, unguarded. The future? Scared? Terrified. Good. Fear means you care. When did you get so wise? Had a good teacher. They watched the sun set over a kingdom that had been dying and now lived, over a city that had been ashes and now burned with hope. And Kaya Vance, former contractor, current soldier, forever protector, finally allowed herself to believe in something beyond the next breath. She believed in tomorrow. The strongest warriors aren't always the ones who fight the longest. Sometimes they're the ones brave enough to stop fighting and start building a future worth protecting.